Nepal's Election Commission issues 20-point directive to political parties ahead of 2026 parliamentary and 2025 National Assembly elections. Election Commission declares full readiness for March polls. President Paudel stresses accountability. Urban expansion sparks large-scale demolitions in Hetoda as authorities clear hundreds of structures for highway modernization. 4 civilians killed in renewed cross-border fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Mass shooting in South Africa claims 11 lives, including a child. Incident linked to illegal liquor premises. And explosive batting across MPO continues as Faf du Plessis equals fastest 50 record in tournament. Viratnagar Seals qualifies spot. I'm Smita Gising Thamang and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepali Standard Time. Across the globe it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. The Election Commission of Nepal has issued a 20-point directive to all registered political parties ahead of the House of Representatives election scheduled for March 5, 2026. The Commission has also announced that the National Assembly election will be held on December 26 this year. Assistant spokesperson Prakash Nepani said the directives are grounded in the Political Party Act and aim to uphold good governance while ensuring inclusive proportional representation throughout the electoral process. Political parties are required to guarantee that at least 1/3 of their candidates are women and that gender and social diversity are reflected across both a proportional and first-past-the-post FPTP nominations. Parties must also support the government's commitment to achieve a 40% women representation in the parliament by 2030, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. During campaign activities, any form of intimidation, defamation, or discriminatory language against women, minorities, or vulnerable groups is strictly prohibited. To create inclusive polling environments, the Commission has urged parties to cooperate in establishing gender and disability-friendly polling centres and to integrate gender and inclusion principles in their manifestos. Political parties must also ensure that children are not used in campaign activities, that campaign language remains responsible on social media, and that no undemocratic acts such as obstructing another party's activities take place. The Commission says compliance with these directives is essential for a fair, peaceful and inclusive electoral process. Nepal's Election Commission says it is fully prepared for the upcoming House of Representatives election scheduled for March 5, 2026. Officiating Chief Election Commissioner Ram Prasad Bhandari highlighted that with 90 days remaining, all necessary arrangements are now in place. He noted that the government has responded to the Commission's requirements and that the publication of the official timetable has further strengthened the election environment. Bhandari also confirmed that during Friday's all-party discussions led by Prime Minister Sushila Karki, the Election Commission reiterated its readiness and clarified that work is progressing according to plan. While earlier budget gaps had raised concerns, the Ministry of Finance has committed additional funding. The Commission had requested nearly 7 billion rupees and close to 6 billion has already been secured, allowing preparations to move forward without delay. So far, 120 political parties have submitted their applications to contest the polls, reflecting a broad and competitive democratic landscape. Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel has underscored that development capable of improving the everyday lives of citizens is Nepal's most urgent priority. Speaking at the inauguration of the newly constructed Lalitpur Metropolitan City building today, the President emphasized the need for effective public service delivery and stronger good governance. He reminded officials that it is their responsibility to listen to people's concerns and respond to them. President Paudel said democracy must function as culture of hearing public voices and fulfilling their aspirations. He added that Nepal's political leadership must evolve to meet the expectations of the new generation, which increasingly demands transparency and accountability. The president also called for collective support to ensure the successful conduct of the House of Representatives elections scheduled for March 5, 2026, saying the polls will be critical to strengthening the constitution and advancing Nepal's federal democratic republic. In Nepal's Bagmati province, authorities in Hetauda have begun demolishing structures that fall within the planned road expansion zone of the provincial capital. Earlier this morning, the Hetauda Road Division deployed excavators to clear buildings and shops along the main market area as part of a project to widen the east-west highway section running through Hetauda sub-metropolitan city. The division had issued a public notice on Mangsir 5 as per the Nepali calendar, giving property owners 15 days to remove structures built within 25 yards on either side of the road. With that deadline ignored, officials have now started clearing both temporary and permanent constructions across a 9.5-kilometer stretch of the Mahendra Highway and Tribhuvan Highway. A total of 531 structures are slated for demolition, and with the potential for local resistance, security forces have been deployed in large numbers to maintain order. Authorities in Nepal have begun a major closure of the Gandhi Highway, one of the country's key transport corridors, as part of a 60-day maintenance and expansion project. From 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., all vehicular movement will halt, forcing commuters and logistics operators to rely on alternative routes. The shutdown comes after a season of intense monsoon rains that triggered floods and landslides across Nepal, highlighting the growing vulnerability of infrastructure in mountainous regions. Officials warn that the road widening work, particularly large-scale wall cutting and rock excavation, carries a significant risk, especially if extreme weather returns. Such conditions are not unique to Nepal. Across Asia and other mountainous nations, climate-driven hazards are increasingly exposing weaknesses in aging transport networks, demanding urgent investment in resilient infrastructure. Engineers say the terrain along Kanti Highway requires uninterrupted and carefully managed construction to prevent further landslides or rock falls, which could endanger both workers and travelers. In Nepal's Mustang district, revenue collection at the northern Kerala border point linking Nepal and China has surged this fiscal year. The Kerala Customs Office reports generating 4.41 billion rupees in revenue so far. The sharp rise follows disruptions at the Raswagadi and Tatopani border points earlier this year, when floods and landslides forced both crossings to shut down, shifting trade flows towards Kerala. By Thursday, imports worth more than 9.34 billion rupees had entered Nepal through the Kerala route. On the export side, Nepal earned 143.4 million rupees in revenue from goods including handicrafts cleared for shipment to China. Since the full resumption of operations about 2.5 months ago, customs officials say Kerala has processed 1,761 electric vehicles, highlighting its growing importance as a northern trade gateway. We take a short break here. For more, do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. In Western Nepal, a major waste management breakthrough is bringing rare joy to residents of Godavari municipality in Kailali. Communities here who once struggled with garbage dumped along roads, rivers and forests are now welcoming a new integrated waste management center built inside the Chowki Dada community forest of Ward number 3. The 5-hectare facility was developed with Asian Development Bank financing and support from the government of Nepal. Designed to operate for 23 years, it processes up to 20 tons of waste a day, producing compost and recycling materials that generate up to 600,000 rupees in monthly income. The center also cleans household septic tanks, adding further revenue. Local leaders say the project has finally brought order to years of unmanaged waste. ADB is now supporting a second, larger waste management facility under construction in nearby Dangari. In Nepal, consumers are facing steep prices for fresh vegetables, while farmers say they are receiving far less than what traders ultimately charge in the market. This mismatch has left both producers and consumers struggling. Many farmers fear that selling their crops at low rates may not even cover production costs. This season, unseasonal rains damaged large portions of vegetable crops, reducing supply, a situation middlemen have taken advantage of by inflating prices. Farmers, however, say they are not benefiting from these higher rates and are now demanding a fixed support price for vegetables similar to the system used for rice and sugarcane. In Dading, tomatoes of farmers sold for just 40 rupees per kilograms are being resold to consumers for as much as 120 rupees. Farmers argue that setting official support prices would protect both growers and consumers, and they are urging local governments to revive efforts that previously failed. Karnali province is marking one of its most culturally significant rituals as devotees gather to honor the revered Musto deity. In Mugu's Khatiyad Rural Municipality 8, the Kudaria Musto Shrine in Damdik village saw a grand celebration today. Across the region, communities worship different deities on all 12 full moons of the year, but the Mangsir full moon holds special meaning, regarded as the time to offer the season's new harvest. Along with Musto, several local deities are also worshipped on this day. For many rural families who lack access to formal courts, there remains a deep belief that the Musto deity delivers justice in cases of social conflict and wrongdoing. We now move to a new story on the cultural transformation taking place in Bidur Khawas, Dankuta. With modernization and the growing influence of Western culture, traditional instruments such as the Panche Baza have gradually disappeared from rural communities. However, these instruments have now found a new role, becoming a powerful medium for creating public atmosphere during protests, meetings and public gatherings. Panche Baza, which reflects tradition, religion, culture and the essence of Nepali identity, has been losing its presence in social ceremonies such as weddings, bratabandha, festivals and agricultural rituals. In contrast, it has gained popularity in political movements, speeches and rallies. Once the rhythmic beats of the kartal begin, participants often forget their fatigue and become energized. However, despite the calls for the preservation and promotion of indigenous folk culture, many communities have not shown sufficient interest in safeguarding Panche Baza. As a result, the music of these traditional instruments is slowly fading even in villages. Time for a short break now. We shall be right back with more updates. Now, the global updates. 4 civilians have been killed and 4 others wounded in an overnight exchange of fire at the Pakistan-Afghanistan border near Chaman and Spin Boldak, according to Afghan officials. The clash, which lasted for about 2 hours, is the latest flare-up between the two nations since deadly fighting in October. Both sides have accused each other of launching unprovoked attacks. Afghanistan's Taliban government said Pakistan fired first, while Pakistan blamed Afghanistan for initiating the violence. Artillery and mortar fire reportedly struck civilian homes, with local hospitals treating those injured. Tensions between the two countries have been rising since the Taliban took control of Kabul in 2021, with security issues at the heart of the dispute. Despite the latest clashes, Pakistan has partially reopened the border for UN aid deliveries, although it's unclear when assistance will begin. The ongoing violence highlights the fragile nature of the ceasefire and the strained relationship between the neighbors. At least 11 people have been killed in a mass shooting at a hostel in Solsville Township, west of Pretoria, early Saturday morning in South Africa. Among the victims is a 3-year-old child. Police say 3 gunmen stormed the hostel where a group of people were drinking and began randomly shooting. 14 others were wounded in the attack, including a 12-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. No arrests have been made and the motive behind the shooting remains unclear. The incident highlights ongoing concerns over illegal liquor premises, often referred to as shebeens, which are notorious for being sites of violent crime in South Africa. South Africa has one of the highest murder rates in the world, with 45 murders per 100,000 people, a stark reflection of the country's ongoing struggles with violent crime. Russia has launched a major aerial assault on Ukraine, targeting key infrastructure just as peace talks between the United States and Ukraine enter their 3rd day in Florida. Overnight, Moscow fired 653 drones and 51 missiles, most of which were intercepted, though a railway hub in Fastev near Kiev was heavily damaged. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strike as meaningless militarily, accusing Russia of deliberately hitting civilian targets. The attacks have also disrupted energy facilities across 8 regions, causing widespread blackouts. Meanwhile, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant temporarily lost all external power for the 11th time since the invasion, raising fresh safety concerns. Despite the escalation, U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff described the ongoing negotiations as constructive, signaling continued diplomatic efforts even as the fighting intensifies. In Myanmar's highly contested elections, early voting began abroad on Saturday, with a few dozen citizens casting their ballots at the Myanmar embassy in Bangkok, Thailand. This marks the start of the voting process for Myanmar nationals living outside the country. There are about 500,000 documented Myanmar nationals in Bangkok alone, according to Thailand's Labour Ministry. Myanmar's junta, which seized power in a 2021 coup, has since plunged the country into a complex civil war. Despite this, the military government insists that these elections are a crucial step towards peace and democracy. The International Organization for Migration estimates there are 4.1 million Myanmar nationals residing in Thailand, many of whom fled the conflict and are living in the country without official documentation. In an important development for regional peace efforts, the Colombian government and the country's largest drug trafficking gang, Clan del Golfo, have signed a preliminary agreement in Qatar on December 5. The deal, known as the Commitment to Peace in Doha, marks a significant step towards potential disarmament of the powerful paramilitary group, which Colombian military intelligence says is responsible for exporting hundreds of tons of cocaine each year to the United States and Europe. The agreement was mediated by Qatar, Norway, Switzerland and Spain, who emphasized that the peace process will move forward on 2 coordinated tracks. The first track focuses on dismantling the gang's involvement in drug production and ending the recruitment of adolescents and children across 15 identified territories currently under Clan del Golfo's influence. A quick break before we look into more international updates. China on December 5 opened a new high-speed rail link connecting cities in the southern Guangxi-Zhuang Autonomous Region, with the new route completing a fast passenger corridor running from the regional capital Nanning all the way to the China-Vietnam border. The new line running between the cities of Chongzhou and Pingxiang is expected to cut travel times, boost regional connectivity and support economic cooperation with China's partners in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. The trains operate at speed of 250 kilometers per hour. The European Union has fined Elon Musk's social media platform X €120 million over its blue tick badges, prompting a reaction from the US. The European Commission said by allowing people to pay for a blue verified check mark on their profile, the platform deceives users because the firm is not meaningfully verifying who is behind the account. However, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Federal Communications Commission (FCC) have criticized the EU regulator, accusing it of attacking and censoring use forms. The new system in X replaced the older one with a system tied to its premium subscription tier, where people wanting a blue tick can pay a monthly subscription fee. Time now for the sports update. Biratnagar Kings veteran star Faf du Plessis delivered a stunning performance in the Nepal Premier League, smashing a rapid 19-ball half-century against Sudur Paschim Royals. With this, he joins the list of players who have hit the fastest 50s at the tournament, matching the feats of Bhim Sarki and Sudur Paschim's Harmeet Singh, both of whom also reached 50 in just 19 balls. The all-time record, however, still belongs to Jimmy Neesham, who powered to a half-century in only 18 balls last season. With this explosive batting on display across teams, the total number of half-centuries in the ongoing second edition of the NPL has now climbed to 33. Sam Haslett recorded the latest one today for Biratnagar Kings. So far, 29 players have contributed to this tally, with Ravi Bopara leading the season with 3 50s. Meanwhile, only Mark Watt and Adam Rossington have managed to score centuries in the tournament. Biratnagar Kings won the today's first match held under the ongoing second Nepal Premier League NPL, defeating Sudur Paschim Royals by 6 wickets and securing a spot in the qualifier. In the match held at Tribhuvan University TU Cricket Ground in Kirtipur, Biratnagar met the target of 148 set by Sudur Paschim in just 11.5 hours, losing 4 wickets. Sam Haslett and Faf du Plessis both scored half-centuries, with Sam making 51 and Faf 50. For Sudur Paschim, Avinash Bohra claimed 2 wickets, while Harmeet Singh took 1. Earlier, Sudur Paschim lost the toss and was asked to bat first, scoring 147 for 5 in 20 overs. Arif Sheikh remained not out with a top score of 45, while Ishan Pandey added 38 runs. Biratnagar's captain Sandeep Lamichhane took 3 wickets and Prithis GC claimed 1. With this win, Biratnagar is set to face Sudur Paschim again in the first qualifier. Sudur Paschim had already secured their spot in the qualifier by winning all 6 of their previous matches. And before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Nepal's Election Commission issues 20-point directive to political parties ahead of 2026 parliamentary and 2025 National Assembly elections. Election Commission declares full readiness for March polls. President Pavel stresses accountability. Urban expansion sparks large-scale demolitions in Hetoda as authorities clear hundreds of structures for highway modernization. 4 civilians killed in renewed cross-border fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Mass shooting in South Africa claims 11 lives, including a child. Incident linked to illegal liquor premises. And explosive batting across MPL continues as Faf du Plessis equals fastest 50 record in tournament. Biratnagar seals a qualified spot. That's all for NTV World Primetime News for now. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website www.nepaltelevision.com. This is me, Gising Thamang. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting, PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands.
Reporting for Public Service Broadcasting.
Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Intermittent playing hide and seek with the folk, enchanting one's heart with the sight of fully bloomed rhododendrons, and rejoicing in the lap of nature with the chirping of the birds. When you set foot in Sandakpur, you experience a wonderful feeling of heavenly bliss right here on earth. Due to the ever-changing weather and the snow-white mountains visible right in front of your eyes, Sandakpur constantly draws everyone's heart towards it. As a habitat for numerous species of birds and endangered wildlife, Sandakpur always leaves an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all. Situated at an altitude of 3,636 meters above the sea level, Sandakpur is located at Ward 2 and 4 of Sandakpur Rural Municipality in Nepal's eastern Ilam district. Embracing the mountains of Nepal, India and Bhutan, Sandakpur is the only place in South Asia where one can observe the Himalayas of all three countries. While enjoying the Himalayan settlements, one can observe the sunrise and sunset from Sandakpur. It is the only place in Nepal from where over 60 mountain peaks, including the Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Pathivara and Kumbhakarna can be seen from one spot. Being the source of the holy Mai River, one of the 4 major rivers in Ilam, Sandakpur is also revered from a religious standpoint, attracting pilgrims from Sandakpur Ridge. The settlements of Ilam, Jhapa and West Bengal of India seem so close that it feels like you could hold them in the palm of your hand. The crimson glow of the sun rising from the Bay of Bengal in the morning, glittering upon the mountains. The joy of witnessing this form such a height is majestic. That is why in winter for the snow and during the monsoon for the rain, the number of visitors from both home and abroad to Sandakpur is on the rise. Among the different species of rhododendrons found in Nepal, 36 can be spotted just along the Sandakpur trek. The rhododendrons blooming all over the forest captivate every heart. With the chirping of birds, the cliffside honeybees, and the opportunity to study endangered species like the red panda, vultures, while enjoying nature, Sandakpur journey has captivated trekkers from around the world. Every year, more than 150,000 tourists from India, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Europe visit Sandakpur. Known as the Bird's Eye Place, Sandakpur was declared a one province, one cultural village by Nepal government in 2018. However, the place still awaits infrastructures like drinking water, electricity and proper trekking trails. Sandakpur can be reached after a 42-kilometer ride from the Ilam headquarters via Mai Pokhari and Kalu Pokhari. Another route to Sandakpur is from Ilam Bazar via Biblate, Sulubung, Mabu and Kalu Pokhari. When trekking to Sandakpur, the highest point of the Mahabharata range, the joy of staying in the homestays and hotels along the way while savoring local cuisine is immeasurable. While forging a connection with the Himalayan settlements, enjoying herbs and local produce, and playing in the snow in winter and the rain during the monsoon, you must visit Sandakpur at least once in your life.
बागमती प्रदेशका जिल्लाहरूमध्ये सिन्धुपाल्चोक पनि एक हिमाली जिल्ला हो। भौगोलिक रूपमा विकट भए तापनि ऐतिहासिक तथा पर्यटकीय रूपमा सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाको महत्त्वपूर्ण पहिचान रहेको छ। मेलम्चीदेखि 6 किलोमिटर उत्तर पूर्वको दूरीमा रहेको गोल्मा स्थान गोल्मा राजा र गोल्मा रानीको नामबाट रहन गएको किम्वदन्ती छ। परापूर्वकालको ईटा, ढुङ्गे धारा, सुन बनाउने ढुङ्गा देख्दा जो कोहीलाई पनि वास्तविकताको अनुभूति हुन्छ। गोल्मा स्थानबाट 2 किलोमिटरको दूरीमा अवस्थित सातधारा डुब्सेश्वर महादेव पवित्र धार्मिक स्थल हो, जसको महिमा प्रचार प्रसारको कमीले गाउँमै सीमित रहेको छ। परापूर्व कालदेखि साधु सन्तहरूको तपोभूमि रहेको डुब्सेश्वर महादेवमा माघे संक्रान्तिको दिनमा झाँक्रीहरूले ढ्याङ्ग्रो जति ठटायो उति नै ढुङ्गाबाट पानीको धारा आउने सत्यता देख्दा जो कोही पनि अचम्मित हुन्छन्। यसैगरी लामा ओडार सातधारा डुब्सेश्वर महादेवबाट 2 किलोमिटरको दूरीमा पर्दछ। प्राकृतिक छट्टाले सुन्दर मनोरम देखिने यस स्थान लामाहरूको लागि अत्यन्त महत्त्वपूर्ण रहेको छ। पर्यटकीय दृष्टिले त यसको सुन्दरता र महत्त्व बडो गजबको पाइन्छ। सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाकै विशाल खुलाचौर रहेको यो गुफा डाँडा पर्यटकलाई आनन्दित तुल्याउने एक प्रमुख स्थान हो, जहाँ सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाकै पहिलो विमानस्थल बनाउन सकिने सम्भावना रहेको छ। 77 वटै जिल्लाहरूको नाममा झण्डा गाडिएको यस ठाउँमा जिल्लाकै गौरवान्वित जलवायुको प्रतिमा रहेको छ। गुफा डाँडाबाट 1 घण्टाको पैदल यात्रापछि ओख्रेनी पुगिन्छ। सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाको इन्द्रावती गाउँपालिका वार्ड नम्बर 1 मा अवस्थित ओख्रेनी गाउँ सामुद्रिक सतहबाट 2253 मिटर उचाइमा रहेको छ। ओख्रेनीबाट पूर्वमा गौरी शंकर हिमाल, दक्षिणमा दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर, पश्चिममा गणेश हिमाल र उत्तरमा तीनचुले हिमाल रहेको छ। शेर्पा जातिहरूको बाहुल्यता भएको ओख्रेनीमा टिम्मुरको तेल तथा चौरीको छुर्पी स्थानीयहरूले उत्पादन गर्ने गरेका छन्। हलोको चलन अझै पनि देख्न सकिने सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाको पहाडको गर्भमा लुकेको अत्यन्त सुन्दर स्थान मध्ये ओख्रेनी एक हो। नेपालका पहाडी कुना कन्दराहरू आफ्नो सुन्दरता यसै गरी लुकाएर बसेका छन्। त्यो सुन्दरता उजागर गर्ने दायित्व तपाईँ हामीको हो। ओख्रेनीबाट 1 घण्टाको उकालो चढेपछि नौलिङ्गेश्वर महादेव पुगिन्छ। जनै पूर्णिमाको दिन यस स्थानमा वर्षेनी भव्य मेला लाग्ने गर्दछ। ग्याल्पो लोसारको दिन यस ठाउँमा शेर्पा समुदायले आफ्नो परम्परा अनुसार नाचगान गर्दछन्। नौलिङ्गेश्वर महादेव छेउमा रहेको प्राकृतिक ढिकी भनेर चिनिने यस स्थान हेर्दा ढुङ्गा खस्न लागेको जस्तो देखिन्छ। हातले पनि हल्लाउन सकिने यस ढुङ्गा विश्वासै गर्न नसकिने गरी अडिएर बसेको छ। यो प्राकृतिक रूपमा बनेको ढिकीलाई हल्लाएमा मानसिक शान्ति तथा शारीरिक प्रफुल्लता बढ्ने जनविश्वास रहेको छ। हिमालको छेउमा अवस्थित सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाको उत्तरी भेगमा रहेको अति सुन्दर, आकर्षक, रमणीय र प्राकृतिक सौन्दर्यले भरिभराउ ओख्रेनी गाउँको छानामा रहेको प्राकृतिक ढिकी पर्यटकहरूको पर्खाइमा रहेको।
private education and public education. We're clearly creating two different sorts of human resource. And then it ultimately culminates into sending two types of workforces as well. We're creating workforces, one for the Gulf nations that solely work to make a living, the other to the developed countries who either go there for education, higher education, or skilled jobs. Where are we lagging?
We are in a world where I think you wouldn't be in a position to say that nationalize everything, governments should run all the schools, and then so all the private schools are shut down, and that's how you're gonna create equality. I think we've heard those kind of political, social, economic voices also, but that has not translated into reality. So what is the workable solution in that case? It's only that we improve the quality of public schools. It's only through improving the public school system that you can sort of like bridge that gap. What do you need to do? There are a lot of things. Invest in infrastructure, like healthcare we talked about. We need to improve the infrastructure of education. We need to continue to provide support to educators. With this recent change of federalism, there has again been the gap created where the school teachers feel there's lack of support system now than it used to be in the past, which is very unfortunate.
They say that life is all connected, even the most remote of animals and humans all rose from this earth. But after years of life on land and sea, have we thought about how far these connections sustain? Deep within Sri Lanka lies Udavalava, nestled nearly 200 kilometers away from the bustling capital city of Colombo. Born out of the need for agriculture, the Udavalava Reservoir in the 1960s paved the way for elephants to find refuge in the area. The town of Udavalava is an extraordinary tapestry of society where the vibrant synergy of locals and wildlife flourishes. A town where a national park, agricultural land, an elephant transit home, and a community all exist in their harmony. As the sun rises over the serene Udavalava National Park, the people who call this place home embrace a livelihood intricately woven with nature's splendor. Resources are shared among the people of Udavalava and elephants alike. They thrive by building and trading monuments of culture around the world of elephants.
Today in the morning we make the safari, like 4 hours on the jeep, and it was actually really nice. We saw some elephants. We really enjoyed.
Among the cherished traditions in Sri Lanka, passed down through generations, is the awe-inspiring Gajaga Vannama, a mesmerizing dance performance that showcases the elegant spirit of elephants, honoring their grace and power in Sri Lankan heritage. This is the elephant transit home called At Athuru Sevana, a haven that serves as a refuge for orphaned, injured and malnourished elephants. This is where we found the enchanting tale of Namal.
අපේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නිලධාරීන්ට හම්බෙලා තියෙන අම්පාර නාමල්ලෝය කියන ප්‍රදේශයේදී වැලක පැටලිලා තුවාල වෙලා ඉන්න පොඩි පැටියෙක් තමයි හම්බෙලා තියෙන කකුලේ ආබාධයෙන් හින්දා. උඩවල ඇත්තතුරු සෙවණට ගෙනල්ලා මෙයාව අර කකුලේ තුවාලේ වැඩි වෙන හින්දා මෙයාගේ ජීවිතේ බේර ගන්න තමයි මේ කකුල කපලා අයින් කරලා මෙයාට මේ කෘත්‍රිම කකුලක් හදලා දාලා උඩවල ඇත්තතුරු සෙවණේ බලාගන්න. අවුරුදු 13ක වයස වගේ ටිකක් වෙනස් සතෙක්. මෙයා ටිකක් අර සැරයි. ටිකක් සාමාන්‍ය අනිත් අයට වගේ එහෙම කිට්ටු වෙන්න අමාරු. උරු වෙච්ච එක්කෙනෙකුට දෙන්නෙකුට වගේ තමයි මෙයත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඩෝලව මේ ආශ්‍රිත ප්‍රදේශයට ලොකු සම්පතක්. මොකද මේ වගේ සතෙක් මුළු ලෝකේ කොහෙවත් නැහැ. මොන ජීවිත අවදානම හරි මොන දේ තිබ්බත් අර ගොඩක් මම කැමති මේ සතාව බලා ගන්න. මොකද මේ එහෙම කවුරුත් නැතුව ගියොත් මේ සතා තවත් අසරණ වෙනවනේ.
Like Namal, all these gentle giants receive the loving care and attention they so desperately need at this elephant transit home located close to the national park. While Namal flourishes under the watchful eyes of his caretakers, not too far away from the park, the battle for resources between elephants and humans looms.
වයින් නැති කාලෙට ඒ කියන්නේ පැවුම් කාලෙට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම එනවා වැඩි. ඒ වෙනකොට උන්ටක් කන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඉතින් උනුත් මේවට එනවා. කියන්නේ අපි ඉතින් එලවනවා. ඉතින් කරදරයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ දැනුවත් වෙනා. උන්ටත් ඉතින් අපිත් උන් එලවනවා. උන් එනවා. ඉතින් වගාවල් පයින්නවා. දිගටම ඒක තමයි ඉතින් වෙන්නේ. 6 වෙනකොට 6 7 වෙනකොට අනිවාර්යෙන් බහිනෝමයි යලි මේවට. කොටු හිටවනවා කෙසෙල් ඔක්කොම ඉතින් කඩා කප්පල් වල දාලා උන්ගේ කැලේ වුණාට ඉතින් අපි ගොවිතැනක් කරගන්න මේකට ආවේ. ගොවිතැන් බතක් කරගෙන ඉතින් අපි ඉන්නෝට ඉතින් තරහයි ඉතින් මොනව කරන්නද? අලියා! අලියා!
In the face of these challenges, the transit home provided a glimmer of hope. The generous support and compassion of humans offered a lifeline to these magnificent beings.
ඇත්තතු සෙවන කියන එකේ තේමාවම ගත්තොත් යලිත් සිය නිජිබිම් කරා පාන ගන්න කියන තේමාවට තමයි මේක ආරම්භ වුනේ. විශේෂයෙන් මානව ක්‍රියාකාරකම් සහ විවිධ ස්වභාවික සංසිද්ධීන් අනුව අවතැන් වෙන තුවාල වුණු අතරමං වුණු සත්තු අලිපැටව විශේෂයෙන් පුනරුත්ථාපනය කරන මධ්‍යස්ථානයක්. ඒගොල්ලෝ යම්කිසි කාලයක් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ පෝෂණය, සෞඛ්‍ය විවිධ සමාජීය කටයුතු කරලා මේගොල්ලෝ නිසි වයස එළඹුණාන් පස්සේ මේගොල්ලෝ නැවත ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නිජබිම් වලට ස්වභාවික පරිසරයට නිදහස් කිරීම තමයි මෙතන වෙන මූලික සංකල්පය.
Current societal changes, the cultural changes and the development changes has resulted in what we hear and the way we see things today in the present. Today the tourists come to see elephants in captive locations like Udawalawe. Now these relationships and these things being successful in Sri Lanka is because of development, and yet there is this feeling of sustainability in nature that Sri Lankan has, and therefore we feel the elephant as still part of our naturalness.
People help these gentle giants by fostering and even donating milk to the little elephants that find their way to this second home, ensuring that they are nurtured before joining the wilderness once again.
This is the first time, so the baby elephants are so cute.
Yes.
So cute, so many. I like elephants because they're very cute, and we don't have elephants at home.
ජීවිතේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට තමයි මේ වගේ අත්දැකීමක් විඳින්න හම්බුනේ. ඒක තහඳ සුන්දර අත්දැකීමක්. මේ වගේ අලි කුඩා අලි පැටව දකින්න ලැබුණේ නම් ප්‍රථම වතාවට මෙහෙම ඒගොල්ලෝ කිරි බොනවා, කෑම කනවා දකින්න ලැබිච්ච එක ඉතින් සුන්දර අත්දැකීමක් විඳින්න හම්බුණා.
The opportunities to see the wild animals and to be with nature and to be in nature is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
උඩවලවේ අලියා ඉන්න නිසා තමයි මේ හැම දෙයක්ම අපට ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන්ම අලියා අපි කියනවා කීස්ටෝන් එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් එයා යතුරක්. ඒක ජාතික වනෝද්‍යානය තුළ සංරක්ෂිත භූමිය විතරක් නෙමෙයි අලියා යතුරු පෝරුවක් වෙන්නේ. අලියා සංරක්ෂිත ප්‍රදේශයෙන් පිට පරිබාහිර මේ ගම්මාන වලටත් මේ අලියා යතුරු පෝරුවක් කරනවා. මොකද මේ යතුරු කැරල්ලේ ප්‍රධාන යතුරු නැති වුණොත් මේ ගම වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. විශේෂයෙන්ම රුජු හා වක්‍ර රැකියාවල් 10000කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් මේ වෙද්දි උඩවලව ආශ්‍රිතව උඩවලව ජාතික වනෝද්‍යානය ආශ්‍රිතව සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයට දායක වෙනවා.
And amidst the serene landscapes of the Udawalawa National Park, tourism flourishes. Visitors from around the world are welcomed to witness the grandeur of elephants in their natural habitat, forging a profound and everlasting connection with nature and Sri Lanka. Yet, the true essence of sustainability lies beyond the surface, entwined with the very existence of these gentle giants.
The national park's incredible. So many elephants. We saw the baby orphans this morning as well, which was amazing. Really, really cool. Yeah, just so much to see.
The prosperity of the people relies on the delicate balance created by the coexistence of humans and elephants. As the sun sets over the enchanting landscapes of Udawalawa, the resounding rhythm of the gentle giants prevails.
My first time, and it's like magnificent. These animals are so beautiful. Like crazy. We've seen hundreds of elephants.
The timeless tales of these elephants stand as a subtle reminder of how people and the gentle beasts alike can walk together. It symbolizes the power of sustainable tourism in Sri Lanka. It symbolizes the power of togetherness.
talked about remittance, how we receive a huge chunk of it, but we're not being able to properly utilize it so that we could materialize it into something productive. How do you see this whole thing?
Do you think any person who is in Gulf country, earning money, sending money to this country, feels proud of sending that money here? Maybe he does because he or she does because they are able to take care of their families, but it could be converted into a sense where you say that your contribution has helped this country develop so much. We have created this infrastructure, we have created this development initiative, and so you take that ownership. And wherever you are, whichever part of the world you are in, whatever contribution you have made, if you feel like, oh, my contribution is actually, in fact, wherever I am, it is contributing towards development of my country, that would be much better. And so there can be some creative and innovative ways of utilizing that remittance, and also proper communication of how it is being used to those people who are contributing is equally important, I think.
Today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from the beautiful hills of Virginia. Tara Linhart, an award-winning musician who is known for blending Appalachian bluegrass with Nepali folk sounds. Tara has performed on some of the biggest stages in the US and has a deep connection with Nepal's music and art. And joining her is Prince Nepali, a talented sarangi player, music educator, and a generational musician continuing his family's rich musical legacy. Please welcome Tara Linhart and Prince Nepali. So when Appalachian bluegrass and Nepali folk music come together, what do you think it connects to the bigger world, and what is the core of this music?
Music is music, and notes are notes. And the Appalachian music and some of the Nepali music, it just has some of the same groove and same feel, and even very similar melodies,
right?
And also themes within the lyrics, and so they blend really well. And so I think it's hopefully it'll be more and more, but there should be a lot of cross-fertilization of ideas between the two musics, because they sound great. I mean, we play a Nepali song and then an Appalachian song, and it sounds similar, same.
And so you're saying that American folk instruments and Nepali folk instruments are somehow parallel to each other.
They work really well together. And the Nepali sarangi, we recorded it, a friend of mine, Danny Nicely, and I, we recorded a bunch of sarangi music many years ago, probably a little after 2000 or something. And we brought just the sarangi music without the bansuri and the model. And we brought it back to America, and we played it for some of the Appalachian style, like a bluegrass, an old time we call it the paharakogit, from the Appalachians. We played it for the professional violin players. We call them fiddle players there. And we said, where do you think this person is from? What is this? And they said, well, it's definitely Appalachian fiddle playing. I almost know the song, but I don't know the song, so it must not be in my state. It must be in the next state over, because it's, I almost feel like I know it, but I don't. And then we said it's a sarangi and it's in Nepal, and they'd be like, you know, blew their minds because it's so similar.
So fiddle is from another, you're from Virginia, right?
Yes.
So fiddle is this instrument called fiddle from another state, or how does it work?
A violin, so in English, it's very funny, the history of English, we have two words from many things. We have the fancy sounding formal word, which is from French, like violin, and then we'll have a more basic, the people, common person word, which is usually from German. So the violin and the fiddle are the exact same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
But one is from German, and so that's like what the country people, you know, they'll want to call it the fiddle, and they'll just play it, and they'll like to have people dancing, and they'll be like they'll play it like this, right? And then if you have really good posture and your eyebrows are up you play it, then you might play the violin.
Violin, okay.
So it's basically like the country music, you know, basically whenever
Right.
you're traveling, you see the folk and the local thing, you know. It's not like very, I mean, you don't have a proper posture to it, you know, and then it's basically how the lifestyle is more about, you know, how you play. The music is more about the lifestyle that you
And
find
for
with
fun.
people. And
Like-
also for fun, mostly for the community music and everything, you know,
Like
we
if
gather
you,
up, play.
if you see, like I spend a lot of time in some of the Gandharva villages, and when there's no audience and they're just them, they're playing because they want to play and they enjoy the
Right.
music, and their kids are dancing and their kids are learning to play,
Absolutely.
growing up from a young age. And it's the same thing in the Appalachian Mountains, which is interesting because a lot of the city people in the United States have no idea about Appalachian culture in the
Right.
United States, which is quite funny. If you ask a lot of people throughout the United States, especially from urban areas, but any place that's not in that little middle Appalachian zone, if there is Raksi, if there's moonshine, and they'll say, no, there used to be, maybe 100 years ago, doesn't exist now. However,
People around the world have this misconception that Americans, even us, like our generation, they don't have culture per se. But like the sarangi, we have our own community-based musical instruments, like the sarangi. The Tamangs have the tungna, the damfu.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
we have the madal.
Madal.
So can you tell me
our
what
traditional
are
instruments?
Yeah, instruments.
Yes. So yes, we have the mandolin. And each of these, because the United States is such an immigrant place, a lot of them were brought over. So mandolins were brought over, I think, by the Italians initially, because the Italians were very well known for making them. I think the guitar came from the Spanish coming over.
Right.
The banjo came from Africa and was modified in the United States. This was also, the Italian mandolins had a big round back on them. But then the Americans, Orville Gibson actually figured out you could make it just concave like a violin or fiddle. So you have the basic, also upright bass is very common. So you have bass, guitar, mandolin, banjo, fiddle, which is violin. But yeah, so that, and people will just play on their porch the exact same way that like a Gandharva community would just play on their porch. They finished doing the farming, they play music for fun. And now, of course, with the evolution of post-industrialization, people are specializing.
Prince, what about the sarangi?
Sarangi is actually mostly played by the people here called Gandharva. So Gandharva mostly came from the west actually, western part of Nepal mostly, and now they're all over Nepal actually. And I think Tara is actually has done a lot more work on Gandharva as well. So she's been like taking some documentaries from back then, you know. And yeah, I think the Gandharva people, so the king, like every ethnic group had their own jobs to do.
Right.
So Gandharva people were given the musical thing where they used sarangi and their vocal. So back in the days when there was no means of communications like televisions and radios, so Gandharva people, they used to go around the village, you know, give the message to the people. So basically by storytelling or singing the song, you know.
Bringing the news.
Bringing the news, actually, and going from village to village. Talking about me, I'm the fourth generation in my family to play this instrument. So everybody in my family is like, we come from a Gandharva family, and everybody in my family played like sarangi or madal or
Right.
somebody singing, you know. That's amazing part of it actually.
So Prince, how did you start playing the sarangi?
Sarangi, yeah, was always at home, basically. So, so I used to see like my father, and he's been playing music all his life.
Grandfather as well.
So
your
yes,
family.
so yeah, Mangar Kansa Nepali is my great grandfather, and Ramsaran Nepali is actually a very big singer. I mean, he traveled a lot.
And Nepali is a pioneer sarangi player of Nepal.
Yeah, he was a singer and a sarangi player. He traveled along with sarangi in many parts of the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he kind of like introduced like the metal string for sarangi, and sarangi itself as a lead instrument, you know. So back in the days, the instrument used to be only like accompanying the vocal, you know. They used to play, but just the melodies that they used to sing, you know. And nowadays it has been used as a leading instrument where you kind of like do solos and many things, you know. and they have like different styles of playing. Like many musicians in Pokhara or some, they have like different style of playing, and also in the eastern part of Nepal there are lots of people who have like a different style of playing. And yeah, when I was very young, like I used to see my father playing all the time with he had like lots of different bands, and then he used to play in this band called Trikal, Sukarma, you know, and also was like traveling along with the instrument in many parts of the world. So whenever they were practicing, there used to be a sarangi just by the side, and I used to just go and pick it up, just, you know, noodle with something. I was like, I started really young when, like, I mean, he didn't force me to play anytime, but I was like so inspired by just looking at him, you know, how that music could change like the whole ambience there. So
it was
also
a
brought
hobby
him to
first.
different countries and different places. And one story that I know that his father had told me was that he was playing a concert in France, and so he asked, you know, everyone's like, you have to see the Louvre, the big museum there. And he said, I wonder if there's any Nepali music in here. Can we find out? And they went and they looked, and it was his grandfather. Had been recorded as a child, and he was in the Louvre Museum, which is pretty.
Yeah, I listened to that music, and it was so amazing. That's what I'm like. What Tara told before was like the connection of like the style of playing. You know, in like most of the part of the world, when you listen to fiddle and sarangi, it sounds so close. You know, you cannot like recognize it's from Nepal or like from the US. You know, it just gets connected to you. I mean, in different forms. So. Yeah, and I started like when I was 7, just playing, you know, a few songs and just imitating my father, you know, how he used to play.
And then it became your passion.
And yeah, it became part of my life.
And your brother also is a musician?
Yes, my brother, he's a singer actually. He does play like a Nepali rhythm, like Madhul Dhime, but he's a very good singer. It's called Prizal Nepali. So he's done many commercial songs at the moment, and yeah.
My friend that I made a documentary called the Mountain Music Project, going back and forth between Virginia and our Pahar Gogit and mostly the Gandharva as focus. But he became a very gifted professional musician, and his father says the way that I got him to play music was I'd leave all the instruments out in the room, and I'd leave the house and I'd say, don't touch them. And he'd leave knowing that if you tell a kid not to touch the instruments,
that's true.
They're there, and they watch their parents having
so
fun
nice.
with it all the time. You know, that's, some people think, I'm going to make my children play, and they'll give them some classical lessons or something, and they have to sit, and they have to play for a certain amount of time. It makes the kids often get a bad taste in their mouth from it. But if you just demonstrate how fun it is, it's like a game you get to play, but you have to know how to play the game. Then all the kids want to play the game. They want to be involved.
Right.
And then also he got the extra thing where his dad was like, all right, don't touch that. And then as soon as his dad would leave, he'd look in and be like,
this is very amusing to me.
it.
Like, you all the way from Virginia, you as an undergraduate student, you were here in the 90s in Nepal.
Yes.
So how did that happen, and how did you meet his father?
Well, I have to say in the 90s, I did not get connected with the Gandharva community yet. I got connected with the Newari community. So I was here as a University of Wisconsin student, and I traveled with an environmental NGO called ECA around Nepal, which was very interesting. I studied tabla with Homnath Upadhyay, who I ended up meeting his son at a gig after we played together in America. And I also studied with Shambhuji Mishra. But I spent most of my studies in Bungamati studying wood carving. So I studied with Puniraj Tulador, which was quite an honor because he's a brilliant wood carver. And I lived with his family. And Shanta Tulador is now an amazingly good wood carver. And so is Purna Lakshmi, who's a female wood carver. And I believe one of the only full-time, like, really top-notch female wood carvers that I know of.
Bungamati is actually the capital of wood carving in Nepal, right? So you've not only experienced the music here, but also the other arts and architectures as well. So how were you interested in the wood
how could you not be interested in wood carving? Like, I came to Nepal, I didn't know much about it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I have to do this.
Yeah,
I mean, it just blew me away, you know, seeing them working. And I was like, wow. Can I learn that? And luckily, the University of Wisconsin at that time had a program here which was very open-ended. And pretty much let us study anything, as long as we wrote a 100-page paper at the end. And so I ended up writing my paper just about Bungamati and anything I could find about it, because I spent most of my time carving wood. And then at the end, I was like, oh, I have to write my paper. But
it sounds amazing, though.
It's an amazing opportunity, and I still am connected with them. And they're like family now, because I've known them since they were little kids, and now they have kids. So their kids
So
are
this early connection in your life with Nepal's art and culture is what inspired you to do music.
I actually decided to become a professional musician when I was at Kopan doing a meditation retreat, and I was not meditating very well. I was not having empty mind. Instead, I would sometimes giggle, and I was thinking about what I really wanted in my life, and I decided I wanted to be a musician. And I was studying tabla at the time, and the more I got good at tabla, the more I wanted to play melody and rhythm again from strings, because I was a guitar player growing up. And then I decided I love to travel, and I love to be able to walk up the mountains and fly different places. So I realized a mandolin could do everything a guitar can do, but it's more travel size. And so I was sitting there pretending to be meditating on emptiness at Kopan, and I was actually thinking, yep, I'm gonna buy a mandolin as soon as I get home. That's what I'm gonna do. So my experience with a silent meditation retreat at Kopan for 2 weeks was I became a professional mandolin player.
Wow.
I don't think that's what they hope for everyone in meditation, but that was my result.
So moving to Prince, so you come from a very musical family, a family with a rich musical legacy. So how do you experiment and relate between something like this instrument right here, mandolin, and with someone lively as Tara? Like, how do you connect and balance between tradition and experimenting?
A very good question, actually. So for an artist like coming from a very folk traditional playing background, so actually my family has been very inspiring in that part, where you basically kind of like experiment with so many things. And as I told, like my grandfather, he kind of like started with some back then, like sarangi strings used to be a gut string, like made from intestine, like sheep intestine strings, and slowly, like we nowadays, I think we like really use those strings. And then in few places we do, but and then it turned into a nylon string. People do play nylon string as well at the moment, and so we moved to a metal string, which is very easier to travel with and very reliable on terms of like doing big concerts, So as we have to like mostly travel, play with a different kind of music, I kind of like crafted my own style, where I kind of like want to jam with some other musicians, and I probably like got very inspired from my father, because he used to travel around and play with so many other musicians, So
all over
it
the
was
world,
all over the world. I mean, he was like, I got so inspired from him.
Yeah.
So, and he used to sometimes jam with the mandolin, sometimes with the violin, and sometimes with some percussion. I mean, I saw so many musicians in my life where he kind of like connected to me, and then like.
And I think his family, all the members of his family have pioneered some of the new technology, and now it's taking off about, putting a pickup on an instrument, playing it with a standing up stand, playing with a strap, and the same thing with our traditional music in Appalachian bluegrass and old time music. There will be the purists who will say, if you tune your sarangi different ways, or use, how far can you take it with pedals where it's no longer a traditional instrument? There's no right or wrong answer.
We find so many common things, when you're hearing the fiddle tune, I find it's like, oh, I think I could play that in sarangi,
Right.
That could be so wonderful to play, and some melodies are very connecting, like that. So like few melodies that I was learning from it, like. sound like Nepali song.
It sounds American folk music, right? Okay,
yeah, we can do like this is an American song, so you kind of feel like it's a Nepali song as well.
Right.
You know, you have like very common thing that you can like hear, you know, from the sounds of like. So I probably find it like you have like so many wonderful melodies that you can hear like and connect together, you know.
We both are musical educators as well.
Yes,
so
I do.
how are you trying to preserve these traditional musical instruments and folk music all together?
Well, I just love to teach. I love to inspire. So I will, often people will come to me and they may even say, I want to learn rock and roll, I want to learn, and I'll say, great, we'll get to that. But first, let's try some Irish tunes and some bluegrass tunes and maybe a Nepali tune. And so I introduced them to a buffet table, is what I think of it as, of like, you know, when you go to a buffet and it has different kinds of foods. And I say, why don't we play some gypsy jazz and we'll play some bluegrass and some old time and some Irish and some Nepali. And then you can taste the flavors. And 90% of the time, they taste some of these traditional flavors and they love it.
Yes.
And they want to play more. And I don't know about you, how would you approach?
So I think first of all by playing mostly inspiring people. So that's how I go first. Like first of all I think I have to be like inspired just to play this instrument first of all, and then I can inspire other people as well.
It's not always the easiest way to make a living, music, but it's very fun.
I feel like everyone should
try it.
Try it.
Yeah.
Like just one musical instrument or go for singing.
I think of course, I mean, if you're in Nepal and then also like any part of the world actually, you have like, I'm talking about Nepal, but you have like so many different instruments in Nepal that you can learn, and you can just like sarangi is one of them, and you have tungna, you have arbazo, you have madal, you have basuri, so many different instruments. And I think one of them should just give it a try, or just, you know, just as a hobby. I mean, it is like fantastic when you're playing music and trying to like play with other people as well, you know.
What would you like to tell the world about folk instruments and folk music? Do you want to share something to the world, and do you have a message to them?
Yeah. Play music and follow us. Buy our CDs and listen to us on Spotify, of course, and you know, all of those things.
You have to say something?
iTunes, whatever.
Yeah, actually, same as Tara. You just listen, I mean, have fun, just pick up an instrument, play, you know. Just get one instrument, and then I think more of it is like we're trying to do some like part of having fun is one thing, but we also kind of like inspire people like just to pick up an instrument, you know, just to have fun with it actually. So yeah,
and even just follow your passions, even if it's not music. Perhaps your passion is drawing, painting, wood carving,
I mean,
any kind of pottery.
Just things that make.
Create something. Do something that brings you joy.
Joy, yeah, that's true.
Do something that brings you inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, that is all for today, folks. Thank you for sharing your story and your sound with us, Prince and Tara. So it's amazing to see how music can connect worlds, from the Appalachian Trails to the Himalayan hills. So thank you. See you next time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Dr. Coloni, as chair of AIN, you've spoken about regulatory frameworks that risk constraining the civil society. What, in your view, is the ideal balance between accountability and freedom of NGOs in Nepal?
The civil society organizations are given freedom of association, freedom of expression, freedom of advocacy, freedom of, you know, contributing into the legal process or lawmaking process in the country. So all of that. But at the same time have a space for their self-regulatory mechanism. But at the same time, the organizations are accountable towards their own process, whether it is about auditing system, delivering impact on the areas that they have selected to work in.
Bahadur Taman, a gifted Thangka artist from the spiritual heart of Buddha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
Thangka चाहिँ मैले 1976 मा सुरुवात गरेको मेरो टिचर चाहिँ म भन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो साइला दाइ मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो पाटन भक्तपुर छामेल दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, home brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thangka painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन 5 मिनेट 10 मिनेटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो एउटा मात्रै थियो अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आउने ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि कुनै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Buddha, Home Bahadur Daman has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामछाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन कलेज छैन हस्पिटल छैन रोजगार छैन त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेशा गरेर दाल भात खाएको अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ दिउँसो काम छैन त्यस कारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेको छ उहाँको स्किल अनुसार टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यहीँ तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसको कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा मैले पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेको छ अहिले
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यू लिन्छु त्यसपछि एक हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो र क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु अनि एक हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घण्टामा 1 घण्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ म सक्दैन ढाड दुख्यो किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो त्यो सक्दैन उ आउँदैन एक दिन पनि आउँदैन मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो हामीले अपाङ्गलाई पनि सिकाएको छ जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तै हो
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn, studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thangka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्धिज्म नेपाल हो नेपालमा जति छन् विश्वसम्पदामा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बा छ यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपरा भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो त उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन तर यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान या चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिभ यहाँ छ जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यतिकै थाङ्गाको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले जस्तो मेरै कुरा मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति थाङ्गाको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धिज्म थिएन, देशहरूले जानेकै थिएन। उनीहरूले त्यो सुरसुर आउँदाखेरि सानोतिनो एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर नेट किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मात्रै लाग्थ्यो। अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका, युरोप, तपाईँको यो सिङ्गापुर, ताइवान, मलेसिया, विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। त्यस कारणले भविष्यमा यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ छ, यसको मार्केट छ।
As an artist, entrepreneur, and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others, and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो। अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ, सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो। त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि, जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ। त्यो त निश्चित हो नि, एउटै निश्चित छैन, कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन। तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मैले। मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ। मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ, मैले ठुलो पतेरो चढ्यो, ठुलो गाडी त्यस्तो होइन, तर मलाई खुसी छ। सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ, मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ। यही थाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो, युरोप गयो, चाइना घुम्यो, बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ। सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसाको आपत पनि परेन। थाङ्गा सँगसँगै लाँदै ब्रिफिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो। त्यस कारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त पनि।
Private education and public education, we're clearly creating two different sorts of human resource. And then it ultimately culminates into sending two types of workforces as well. We're creating workforces, one for the Gulf nations that solely work to make a living, the other to the developed countries who either go there for education, higher education, or skilled jobs. Where are we lagging?
We are in a world where I think you wouldn't be in a position to say that nationalize everything, governments should run all the schools, and then so all the private schools are shut down, and that's how you're gonna create equality. I think we've heard those kind of political, social, economic voices also, but that has not translated into reality. So what is the workable solution in that case? It's only that we improve the quality of public schools. It's only through improving the public school system that you can bridge that gap. What do you need to do? There are a lot of things. Invest in infrastructure, like healthcare we talked about. We need to improve the infrastructure of education. We need to continue to provide support to educators. With this recent change of federalism, there has again been the gap created where the school teachers feel there's lack of support system now than it used to be in the past, which is very unfortunate.
चारैतिर हरियाली नै हरियालीको बीचमा चराचुरुङ्गीहरू बात मार्दै गरेका, हावाले संगीत भर्दै गरेको अनि माटोले आत्मीयता देखाएको यो पावन भूमि हो दक्षिणकाली। काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाबाट 18 किलोमिटरको दूरीमा रहेको दक्षिणकाली हिन्दू अनि बौद्ध धर्मावलम्बीका लागि विशेष ठाउँ हो। हिन्दू धर्मका प्रख्यात गुरु गोरखनाथ र बौद्ध धर्मका प्रख्यात गुरु रिम्पोछे अर्थात् पद्म सम्भवले ध्यान गरेको र सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको यो विशेष भूमि हो। यो यही भूमि हो जहाँ माता दक्षिणकाली वास गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यसैले त यहाँको हावा र माटोले आकर्षित गर्छ, मधुरता दिन्छ। यो ठाउँमा पाइला टेक्नुले मात्र पनि ऊर्जा प्रदान गर्छ, जीवन सफल भएको आभास हुन्छ। कमलको फूलबाट अलौकिक रूपमा जन्म भएको मानिएका पद्म सम्भव, जसलाई तिब्बती भाषामा गुरु रिम्पोछे भनिन्छ, उनी गुरुले ध्यान गरेर सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको ठाउँ फर्पिङ दक्षिणकालीमै छ। भनिन्छ बुद्ध धर्मका ज्ञाता पद्म सम्भव तिब्बतमा बुद्ध धर्मको जग बसाल्न जाँदै गर्दा धेरै वर्ष नेपालको फर्पिङमा बस्नुभयो। यो असुरा गुफा हो। गुरु पद्म सम्भवले ध्यान र साधना गरी सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको ठाउँ। फर्पिङ बजारबाट दायाँ लागि केही उकालो हिँडेपछि गुफा पुग्ने भर्याङ देख्न सकिन्छ। अनगिन्ती सिँढीहरू चढेर गुफा पुगेपछि छुट्टै आनन्द आउँछ। विशाल चट्टानभित्र सानो कोठा छ जहाँ पद्म सम्भवको मूर्ति राखिएको छ र दीप प्रज्वलन गरिएको छ। अनि छेवैमा एक लामा मन्त्र उच्चारण गरी ध्यानमा लीन हुनुहुन्छ। आन्तरिक पर्यटकहरू नदेखिएको यो ठाउँमा विदेशी पर्यटकहरू पनि आउँदा रहेछन्। विशेष गरी चीन, ताइवान, मंगोलिया र भुटान लगायतका देशबाट यहाँ भ्रमणका लागि आउने गर्दछन्। यो बौद्ध मार्गीको एक पवित्र तीर्थस्थल हो जहाँको भ्रमण बिना तीर्थाटन अधुरो हुने गर्दछ। यही शिलामा हातका ठ्याक्कै 5 औंलाको डाम छ। स्थानीयका अनुसार यो हातको डाम गुरु पद्म सम्भवका शिष्यको हो। भूलवश हातको डाम रहन गएपछि ती शिष्य पश्चातापमा गएको भनाइ छ। यसै गरी अर्को एउटा भनाइ पनि प्रख्यात छ जसले यो हातको डाम गुरु पद्म सम्भवकै भएको बताउँछ। त्यसैले त यहाँ आउने पर्यटकहरू यहाँ आफ्नो हात राखेर पद्म सम्भवसँग ऊर्जा र आशीर्वाद माग्छन्। इतिहासमा पद्म सम्भवलाई अलौकिक शक्ति मानिन्छ जसले नकारात्मक ऊर्जा सजिलै परास्त गरी न्याय र शान्ति प्रदान गर्ने विश्वास गरिन्छ। यही गुफासँगै गुरु गोरखनाथको पाइला पनि रहेको छ। गुरु पद्म सम्भव ध्यान र साधनाका लागि यता आउनु भएको थाहा पाएर हिन्दू धर्मका प्रख्यात गुरु गोरखनाथ पनि यो ठाउँ केही वर्ष बसी ध्यान गरेर जानु भएको हो भन्ने भनाइ छ। गुफाका सिँढीहरू झर्दै गर्दा शिलामा स्वयं उत्पन्न भएको मानिएको गणेश र सरस्वतीको मूर्ति पनि छ। एउटा सानो कुण्ड अनि त्यसमाथि कमलको फूल, यस्तै स्वरूप बनाएर पद्म सम्भवको गजबको ठूलो मूर्ति राखिएको छ। विभिन्न भाव भङ्गिमामा रहेको पद्मसम्भवको प्रतिमा निकै नै सजीव देखिन्छ। यहाँ बसेर मजाले ध्यान गर्न सकिन्छ। यो ठाउँ अलौकिक शक्तिले भरिएको आभास हुन्छ। जो कोहीको अस्थिर मन पनि यहाँ शान्त बन्न सक्छ। यो असुरा गुफा र फर्पिङमै रहेको याङ्लेश्वर गुफा गुरु पद्मसम्भवले आवत जावतका लागि प्रयोग गर्न गरिएको पनि स्थानीय विश्वास छ। यहाँ पनि पद्मसम्भवको सानो मूर्ति राखिएको छ र दीप प्रज्वलित गरिएको छ। यहाँ रहेको चट्टानको बीचमा टाउको अड्याउन मिल्ने ठाउँ छ, जहाँ टाउको राखेमा आनन्द प्राप्ति हुने स्थानीयको विश्वास छ। यो यही परिसर हो जहाँ शेष नारायणको मन्दिर छ। यो उपत्यकाको 4 नारायण मध्ये एक हो। दिशंखु नारायण, इचंगु नारायण, चांगु नारायण र शेष नारायण काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाका 4 प्रमुख नारायण मन्दिरहरू हुन्। यही मन्दिरको ठिक माथि चट्टानमा विभिन्न आकृतिहरू देख्न पाइन्छ, जसलाई भक्तजनहरू विभिन्न रूप मानेर श्रद्धा गर्छन्। कामधेनु गाईको थुन, गणेश अनि शेषनागको आकृतिका रूपमा देखिने यी स्वरूपहरूमाथि भक्तजनहरूको गहिरो विश्वास छ। यसै मन्दिर प्रवेश स्थलमा एउटा सानो कुण्ड पनि छ, जहाँ ससानादेखि ठुल्ठुला असला र रङ्गी बिरङ्गी माछाहरू छन्। यहाँ केही जोडी कछुवा पनि छन्। यस कुण्डमा बौद्ध मार्गीहरूले आफ्ना मनोकांक्षा पूरा भएको खुसियालीमा रङ्गी बिरङ्गी माछाहरू छोड्ने गर्दछन्। अनि यिनै माछाहरू हेर्न यहाँ ससाना बालबालिकादेखि ठूलासम्म आउने गर्दछन्। यहाँ आनन्दको अनुभव गर्दै ध्यानमा लीन हुनेहरूको पनि कमी छैन। यहाँको अर्को विशेष भनेको वज्र योगिनी मन्दिर हो। वज्र योगिनी एक तान्त्रिक देवी हुनुहुन्छ। वज्रयाना र महायानामा वज्र योगिनीको स्थान उच्च छ। समृद्ध र सुखी जीवनयापनको मनोकामना राख्दै भक्तजनहरू यहाँ आउने गर्दछन्। साथै ज्ञान प्राप्तिका लागि यस ठाउँको भ्रमण गर्नेहरू पनि धेरै छन्। आशाका दीपहरू बलिरहेका, खुशीका स्वरहरू गुन्जिरहेका यी ठाउँहरू साँच्चै विशिष्ट छन्। यसै विशिष्टताको अर्को नाम हो दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर। यो मन्दिरमा विभिन्न मनोकामना राखेर दर्शन गर्न आउनेहरूको भिड नै लाग्ने गर्दछ। यहाँ विशेष गरी शनिबार, मंगलबार र बिहीबार भिड लाग्ने गर्दछ। दशैंमा यहाँ विशेष पूजा हुने गर्दछ। यहाँ छिमेकी मुलुक भारतबाट पनि दर्शनार्थीहरू आउने गर्छन्। यहाँ आउने भक्तजनका लागि पनि खाजा, नास्ता अनि पूजा सामग्रीका पसलहरू राखिएका छन्। यही मन्दिरको ठिक माथि माताको मन्दिर छ, जुन दक्षिणकालीको माताको हो भनिन्छ।
दक्षिणकाली नगरपालिका आर्थिक रूपमा अलि विपन्न हो, तर सांस्कृतिक ऐतिहासिक थलोको रूपमा चाहिँ दक्षिणकाली नगरपालिका धनी नगरपालिकाको रूपमा पर्छ। उदाहरणको लागि माता दक्षिणकालीको मन्दिर पुर्खौँदेखि चाहिँ दक्षिणकाली माताको आशीर्वाद लिने भक्तजनहरूको प्रशस्त मात्रामा चाहिँ आगमन पाइन्छ। प्राचीन दक्षिणकाली, जहाँ माता दक्षिणकाली पहिला त्यहाँ उहाँको वासस्थान, पछि चाहिँ किम्वदन्ती अनुसार पछि तल सरेको भन्ने खालको जुन छ, त्यो मन्दिर पनि एकदम अत्यन्त सुन्दर बनिसकेको छ। र असुरा गुफाबाट मास्तिर जाँदाखेरि सिँढी माथिसम्मै जोडिएको छ र त्यहाँ पानीको केही व्यवस्था पनि छ, सबै कुरा व्यवस्था छ र त्यहाँ पनि नहेरी नहुने ठाउँको रूपमा छ। विदेशी पर्यटकहरू अहिले पनि हालसाल पनि आइराख्नु भएको, सधैँभरि आउने बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको पवित्र भूमि, गुरु रुम्बुचेले तपस्या सिद्धि गरेको थलो असुरा गुफादेखि लिएर चाहिँ पवित्र यहाँ चाहिँ बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको मठ मन्दिर भएको कारणले यहाँ हिन्दू मात्र नभइकन बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको पनि प्रशस्त यहाँ सम्भावना छ, आइराख्नु भएको छ। अझ थपिएर आउनको लागि पनि यहाँ चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई बसोबासको लागि बुद्ध मार्गीहरूले वासस्थानको पनि राम्रो व्यवस्था मिलाइराखेको छ। र यहाँ आइसकेपछि असुरा गुफा र धेरै यस्ता चाहिँ मठ मन्दिरहरू, बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको मठ मन्दिरहरू भएको ठाउँ भएको कारणले यहाँहरूको टेलिभिजन मार्फत पनि यो कुरालाई उजागर गरिदिन सक्यो भने पर्यटकहरू अवश्य पनि कहाँ घुमौँ, कहाँ जाँदा राम्रो हुन्छ भन्ने अन्योल भइराखेको बेलामा दक्षिणकाली एउटा चाहिँ पर्यटकको लागि गन्तव्य स्थल हो भन्ने कुरा अलिकति हामी कार्यक्रम मार्फत पनि दिन सक्यौँ भने त्यो बढ्छ।
खासमा दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर यहाँ भन्दा फरक ठाउँमा थियो। पर्पिङको माथि जंगलमा रहेको दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर जानेहरू हराउन थालेपछि त्यसबेलाका राजा प्रताप मल्ललाई दक्षिणकाली माताले आफूलाई हाल रहेको ठाउँमा सारिदिनु भन्ने सपनामा देखाएपछि हालको ठाउँमा मन्दिर बनाइ सारिएको भन्ने कथन छ।
राजा प्रताप मल्लको राज्यकाल भन्दा पनि धेरै पहिला त्यस अवस्थाको मूर्ति फर्पिङ सहर शिखरको घना जङ्गलमा थियो। त्यहाँ मान्छेहरू जान डराउने र हराउने के, मान्छे जस्तै 100 जना गयो कि 1 जना हराउने के। त्यो भएपछि राजा प्रताप मल्ललाई साक्षात् कि दक्षिणकाली देवी सपनामा प्रकट भएर मलाई अप्रकाशित मूर्ति थियो त्यतिखेर, मलाई प्रकाशित मूर्तिमा प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गरेर दुई नदीको सङ्गम चौक जस्तै पूर्णावती गङ्गा र उदारवती गङ्गाको बिचमा मलाई विराजमान गर। र त्यस अवस्थामा प्रताप मल्लको पालोमा महामारीको भय थियो क्या, त्यो भय पनि निवारण हुन्छ भनेर अनि प्रताप मल्लले दक्षिणकालीको मूर्ति स्थापना गराएको थियो। अब मूर्ति स्थापना गराउँदा पहिला मूर्ति बनाउँदाखेरि त्यो प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गर्दाखेरि त्यस मूर्तिमा प्राण प्रतिष्ठा भएन। त्यो मूर्ति अहिले हनुमान ढोकामा छ। अनि त्यसपछि दोस्रो फेरि प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गरेर गुरु लम्कन भट्टले विधिका साथ होइन, अब जस्तै नरबली सर्प सब बलि सहित प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गरेर यहाँ विराजमान गराएको हो। जस्तै यहाँ नजिकै मुसान पनि छ। अनि देवीको दायाँबाट क्रमशः गणेश, भैरव, ब्रह्मायनी, महेश्वरी, कुमारी, वैष्णवी, बाराई, इन्द्रायणी, चामुण्डा बिचमा दक्षिणकालीमा विराजमान हुनुहुन्छ। यहाँ प्रत्येक चाहिँ अब भिड हुने चाहिँ शनिबार, मङ्गलबार, बिहिबार हो। अब दसैँमा त भन्नै परेन। अनि यहाँ विशेष पूजा चाहिँ वर्षको 2 चोटि हुन्छ, महापूजा। वैशाख बरी 13 रोज र अनि भाद्र कृष्ण अष्टमीमा हुने गर्दछ। अब कोही मान्छेको भागल पुरा भएर आउँछन्, कोही मेरो भागल पुरा होस् भनेर आउँछन् हैन। यहाँ अब देश विदेश अथवा पूर्व मेचीदेखि पश्चिम महाकालीसम्मको मान्छेहरू आउँछन्। अहिले त यातायातको सुविधा झन् बढी भएको कारण पहिलाभन्दा यहाँ धेरै अब यात्रुहरूको चाप पनि बढी छ। अब दक्षिणकाली आमाले सबैको इच्छा मनको इच्छा पुरा गरेकोले नै यहाँ मान्छेहरू आउने गर्दछ। एउटा आस्था त हो हाम्रो हैन।
यहाँको अर्को धार्मिक तथा ऐतिहासिक रूपमा प्रख्यात ठाउँ हो कटुवाल दह। झोलुङ्गे पुलबाट यो दह पुग्न सकिन्छ। दह भनिए पनि यो ठाउँ खोला बनेको छ। सम्भवतः यो ठाउँ कुनै समयमा दह भएको र कालान्तरमा खोलामा परिणत भएको हुन सक्छ। यहाँ सङ्कटाको सानो मन्दिर पनि छ। यो दहको जल रातो मच्छिन्द्रनाथको जात्रा सुरुवात गर्न अनिवार्य छ। किंवदन्ती अनुसार भारतको आसामबाट रातो मच्छिन्द्रनाथलाई नेपाल ल्याएपछि सुरुमा यही बिसाएर जल चढाइएको थियो। गर्मीमा शीतलता दिने यो ठाउँ आनन्ददायी छ। यहाँको चिसो हावाले मन शान्त पार्नुका साथै ऊर्जा पनि प्रदान गर्छ। यो गोपालेश्वर मन्दिर हो। यहाँ महादेवको ठूलो शिला रहेको छ। तीनतले प्यागोडा शैलीमा निर्माण भएको यो मन्दिर गोपाल वंशमा निर्माण भएको इतिहासमा उल्लेख छ। यसै मन्दिरमा कृष्णले आफ्नो भान्जाको व्रतबन्ध गरेको पनि विश्वास गरिन्छ। यहाँ रहेको चम्पादेवी डाँडा र भस्मासुर डाँडा पदयात्राका लागि एक आकर्षक गन्तव्य हो। चम्पादेवी काठमाडौँ उपत्यका वरिपरि रहेका अग्ला डाँडाहरूमध्ये तेस्रो अग्लो डाँडा हो। यो घना जंगलले घेरिएको छ र यहाँबाट सुन्दर हिम श्रृङ्खलाहरू देख्न सकिन्छ। प्रकृतिको नजिकमा रही आनन्द लिनका लागि दक्षिणकाली एक उत्कृष्ट गन्तव्य हो। त्यसैले त यहाँ रहेका करिब 200 वटा गुम्बा लगायतमा अध्यात्म तथा ध्यान केन्द्रहरू खोलिएका छन्, जहाँ राष्ट्रिय तथा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय व्यक्तित्वहरू ध्यानका लागि आउने गर्छन्।
हाम्रो यहाँ लोकल ग्राहकदेखि बाहिरी टुरिस्टहरू, इन्टरनेसनल ग्राहकदेखि सबैजना आउनुहुन्छ। यहाँ चाहिँ नजिक चाहिँ दक्षिणकाली परेको हुनाले र अर्को हाम्रो चाहिँ बुद्धिस्टको चाहिँ पनि ठुलो तीर्थस्थल भएको भएर दुवै सबैजना आउनुहुन्छ। कोही चाहिँ 1-2 दिन पनि बस्छन्, कोही 1 दिन मात्र शुक्रबार प्राय बस्नु भएर शनिबार दर्शन गरेर जानेहरू पनि हुन्छन् भनेदेखि कोही चाहिँ 6-7 दिन बस्ने, कोही 10-15 दिन बस्नेहरू पनि हुन्छन्।
यहाँ घुम्न आउने पर्यटकका लागि खाजा, खाना तथा बास बस्न होमस्टे तथा होटलहरू पनि रहेका छन्। ठुलठुला रिजोर्टदेखि ससाना खाजा पसलहरू रहेकाले यो ठाउँ पर्यटकका लागि सहज छ।
मेरो लगभग 1 वर्ष जति भयो। सधैँ आइन्छ। अब यसो कहिलेकाहीँ यताउता काम पर्यो भने बाहिर हिँड्छ, नत्र त प्राय यहीँ हो सधैँ। यहाँ अब शनिबार र पब्लिक होलिडेमा अलिअलि हो, नत्र अरू बार यस्तै नर्मल 500-700 200-400 जे होस् सर्भाइभ हुनलाई भइरहेछ, टाइम पास भइरहेछ। आफ्नै घर नजिक पनि भयो, आफ्नै ठाउँमा केही गरेर खान पनि पाइयो नि त।
दक्षिणकाली नास्पाती र लप्सीका लागि विशेष प्रख्यात छ। दक्षिणकालीको नासपाती र लप्सी भन्ने बित्तिकै जो कोहीको पनि मुख रसाउँछ। यहाँका खेत बारीहरूमा नासपाती र लप्सीका रुखहरूले घर बनाएका छन्। एक समान ठडिएका यी रुखहरूमा रहरलाग्दो पाराले नासपाती फलिरहेका छन् अनि लप्सी पनि। यी लप्सीको यहाँ मिठो क्यान्डी बन्ने गर्छ। केही अमिलो अनि केही गुलियो हुने यी क्यान्डीले धेरैको मुख मिठो बनाएको छ।
लौसी हामीले बोटमै किन्छौँ, बोटै लिएर खेताल लगाएर उ गर्छौँ होइन। अरू यही सामान बनाउने हो। पहिला लौसी झार्ने सिजनमा यस्तो हुन्छ, हामीले कात्तिकको लास्टदेखि सुरु गर्छौँ, कात्तिकको लास्टदेखि पुससम्म। त्योभन्दा अगाडि अलिकति गुदीभरि आउँदैन होइन। त्यो बेला सुरु गरेपछि तल उसिनी ताख्ने काम नै भइरहेको हुन्छ, यहाँ काम नै भइरहेको हुन्छ। दार्जिलिङ पनि जान्छ अहिले चाहिँ प्राय सर्लाहीतिर, अनि पोखरा बढी, अनि काठमाडौँ बढी। काठमाडौँ अनि मेरो यही लोकल बजारमा नि रहेछ। म आफै किन्छु नासपातीहरू नि, अनि प्राय अलिक ठुला छानेर काठमाडौँ नै बेच्छौँ हामी। काठमाडौँमा अलिक ठुला बेच्छ, अनि तराईतिर इन्डियातिर चाहिँ अलिक ठिक यत्र साइजको पठाउँछौँ। हामी 6 जना छौँ। पहिला त 8-9 जनै छौँ, बच्चाहरू छोरीहरू व्यवहार गयो, अहिले राम्रै छ।
यहाँ धान रोप्दै गरेका किसानहरू भेटिन्छन्, जिम्बु लाउँदै गरेका किसानहरू पनि भेटिन्छन्। जहाँ हेरे पनि हरियाली देखिने यो ठाउँ धार्मिक, ऐतिहासिक र प्राकृतिक सम्पदाले भरिपूर्ण छ। दक्षिणकाली काठमाडौँको नजिकमा रहेको एक आकर्षक पर्यटकीय गन्तव्य हो। प्रकृतिसँग आलिङ्गनका लागि र आध्यात्मिक शान्तिको खोजीका लागि यो ठाउँ एक उपयुक्त गन्तव्य हो। व्यस्त जीवनशैली र कोलाहलबाट मनको शान्ति प्राप्तिका लागि ध्यान तथा साधनामा लीन हुन यो ठाउँ उत्कृष्ट छ।
What would be an ideal step-by-step thing that we could do to make sure all our financial activities of the government and everything is transparent and that we deal with corruption?
It is our collective responsibility, right? It is not going to be, when we say step-by-step, what may easily come to our mind is, okay, have policy in place, enforce it, right? Have maybe a stronger punishment mechanism, and that's going to work. Of course it will. Well, that needs to happen. But then there's more steps that we need to take if we really want to get into that.
In Nepal, child marriage is a long-standing culture that has been hindering girls' access to education and severely affecting their health and overall well-being. Child marriage is a criminal offense in Nepal, and the legal age for tying the knot is 20 years. However, this legal provision often remains only on paper. The 2021 census indicates that Sudur Paschim province of the country has alarming child marriage rate of 29.1%. Meanwhile, the Kailali Health Office reports 881 women gave birth before the age of 20 in just the first 7 months of the previous fiscal year, while 305 teenage girls delivered babies, highlighting the child marriage remains deeply entrenched due to lack of awareness and prevailing social norms. While 305 teenage girls delivered babies, highlighting that child marriage remains deeply entrenched due to lack of awareness and prevailing social norms. Data of the last 25 years show that Nepal has made a significant achievement, decreasing it by 58%. The prevalence of child marriage before the age of 18 among girls in Nepal was approximately 33% as of 2019 data, a decrease from 58% in 1994. More recent data from 2022 indicates a slight increase to around 35% of women aged 20 to 24 first married by age 18. But in Kailali, the number of teenage girls giving birth before the age of 20 is on the rise, and the traditional practice of home deliveries has yet to disappear. Medical experts warn premature pregnancy poses significant health risk for both mothers and infants.
आमालाई पर्ने असर भनेको चाहिँ अब छिटै विवाह भयो, छिटै बच्चा पाएपछि उहाँहरुको क्यारियर अवरुद्ध हुने अनि उहाँहरुको चाहिँ एउटा सेल्फ स्टिम भनौं न आत्मबल कमजोर हुने, छिटै उमेरमा एउटा बच्चा पाउनुको मतलब उहाँले पछि फेरि धेरै बच्चा पाउन सक्ने, त्यसले गर्दा उहाँहरुको स्वास्थ्यमा जोखिम हुन सक्ने, उहाँहरुले आर्थिक उपार्जन गर्न नसक्ने,
leading to increased incidences of severe health complications and mortality. The persistence of child marriage, teenage pregnancy, and home deliveries highlights gaps in public awareness, limited education, and inadequate access to healthcare services.
कार्यक्रम त सुने हो, यस्तो कार्यक्रम हामीलाई चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म गाउँपालिका दिएको छैन, किताब पनि छापिएको छ भन्थ्यो। अब यो यस्तो कुराहरू किताब पनि अब स्कुलमा पनि युज हुन्छ भन्नुभएको थियो, त्यति जानकारी चाहिँ छैन।
In Nepal's Dhading district, a government program, Churi, Chepang and Chamero, aimed at uplifting the Chepang community is struggling to reach its goals. The Chepang, a marginalized indigenous group in Nepal, traditionally living a semi-nomadic life, and most Chepang live below the poverty line. The program launched in 2022 under the province and local government, the Churi, Chepang and Chamero initiative seeks to boost economic and social development by conserving churi trees, planting saplings and processing churi seeds into ghee and oil for the market. But 3 years on, many Chepang households remain unaware of the program, and critical infrastructure delays have stalled the progress. While an oil pressing machine provided by the Bagmati province of the country at a cost of 5 million rupees has yet to be installed. Other side of the story, seeds collected remain unprocessed, frustrating locals who expected income opportunities. While local governments have focused on data collection, tree planting and promotions, the core aim of value addition has not begun. As a result, the program's promises to support one of Nepal's most vulnerable indigenous communities remain largely unfulfilled. A celebratory mood swept across Nepal's Kosi Tapu Wildlife Reserve in southeastern Nepal today as a newborn elephant received its formal name, Bhupendra Gaj. Baby elephant Bhupendra Gaj was born 11 days ago to mother Sobakali, who is a domesticated female elephant raised and trained for regular patrolling inside the conservation park. In Nepal, the traditional naming ceremony is typically held on the 11th day of after birth. Some communities celebrate it the other way. The latest birth has brought a renewed sense of pride to Nepal's conservation community. Sobakali, stationed at the Bhagalpur sector on the Udaipur side of the reserve, is already known among conservation teams for her role in security, patrols and habitat management. She previously gave birth to 2 female calves, Lakshmi and Kosi Kali, making this her 3rd offspring. The naming ceremony drew the presence of key conservation stakeholders, Kosi Province head of the National Trust for Nature Conservation, among others. Local residents and wildlife enthusiasts also joined the event. Kosi Tapu Wildlife Reserve currently has 15 elephants. The birth of Bhupendra Gaj is not only a matter of joy, but a reminder of Nepal's continued success and commitment in safeguarding its endangered species. It also shows an example of how a community-driven approach is helping Nepal's conservation efforts, showing example of coexistence of human and animal. The people from Palpa of Nepal celebrated Nwagi festival with devotion, following the age-old tradition of offering newly harvested rice to nature before consuming it. The Nwagi festival, also known as Chonam in western Nepal, is a local tradition where villagers celebrate the new rice harvest by offering the first grains to deities at local temples. Local honoring Mother Earth, rivers, and forest through their rituals are the significance of the celebration. Following the tradition, farmers and community members offer the fresh rice as a token of gratitude to nature for a bountiful harvest. This unique tradition in Nepal reaffirms the deep-rooted relations between humans and nature. The celebration includes traditional dances like Sorathi and Magari musical performances with Panche Baja, 5 musical instruments and devotional songs reflecting the spiritual and cultural richness of the region. Locals also say such festivals inspire younger generations to cherish and protect the natural world, keeping the spiritual traditions of Nepal alive. An age-old ritual and practice that connects two immediate neighbors, Nepal and India, at the popular level. The 7-day Ram Sita Vivaha Panchami culminates Tuesday to the magnanimous end. Thousands of devotees from India as well as the Mithila region throng Janakpur Dham, the vibrant cultural and religious city in Nepal's southern plains. Falling on the 5th day of the waxing moon in November, this festival commemorates the sacred union of Goddess Sita and Lord Ram. The event has long been a metaphor for the cultural and religious harmony between the two neighbors who share popular level relation to the grassroots level. Also, sages and religious leaders from cities like Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Rama, arrived to attend the grand reenactment of the divine marriage. At the Janaki temple, the divine wedding ceremony unfolds amid elaborate decorations and traditional rituals. For centuries, this event has served as a cultural bridge between Nepal and India, fostering unity across borders through shared faith and heritage. Following tradition, the bridal procession carrying Goddess Sita departs from the Janaki temple, while the groom's procession carrying Lord Ram departs from the Ram temple. As per Mithila customs, the wedding rituals continue late into the night. More than a festival, Ram Sita Vivaha Panchami symbolizes the enduring cultural and spiritual ties between Nepal and India. Through devotion, ritual, and shared heritage, this celebration continues to unite two countries, reinforcing centuries-old bonds across borders. Nepal's tourism city Pokhara in country's central district of Kaski came alive once again as it blended tradition with tourism at the vibrant second annual Paddy Threshing Festival. Paddy threshing, known locally as the Dai Festival, has long been a key part of Nepal's agricultural cycle, taking place after the monsoon when farmers mechanically separate edible rice grains from stalks and husks. Deeply rooted in Nepal's hinterland culture and its largely agrarian lifestyle, this age-old practice is not just a farm work, but it is a cultural treasure. And this year in Pokhara, that tradition came alive once again as the second edition of the Paddy Threshing Festival turned the tourism city into a celebration of rural life. The yearly event is considered a cultural asset, showcasing village lifestyle and strengthening community-based tourism, offering agro-based experiences for agro-tourism enthusiasts. Tourists from various districts of Nepal and foreign visitors in Pokhara gathered to witness the fun of rural paddy threshing and even took part in the celebration.
Everything works, and I mean, it's a difference between the Netherlands and European countries where everything is really more individual and people just buy their rice in the supermarket, and here we can see how it is harvested. So I'm really glad to be here, and I really love your country.
The highlights of the festival were a range of competition rooted in Nepali rural culture, including best ox keeper, best rice producer, rice threshing, straw bundling, and gundri, traditional mat weaving. Winners in each category received awards and recognition from the organizers. Many visitors said that experiencing Nepal's farming culture up close, watching rice being cut, threshed and bundled as farmers celebrated this season was uniquely exciting and unlike agricultural tradition seen in other countries.
आयोजना गरेको छ यसले चाहिँ कृषिलाई इम्पोर्टेन्ससँग जोड्ने र अहिले पछिल्लो समयमा यो हराउँदै गइरहेको संस्कृति छ त्यो संस्कृतिमा नयाँ पुस्ता र साथसाथै वरिपरिका अन्य आन्तरिक तथा बाह्य पर्यटकहरूलाई एक किसिमको माहौल बनाउनलाई काम गरेको छ.
The mayor of Pokhara Metropolitan City, Thanraj Acharya, noted that agritourism holds a significant potential in Nepal, where agriculture remains strongly tied to culture and everyday life.
सदा भवानी दाहिन रे, सदा भवानी दाहिन रे, सिद्ध न करे गणेश.
Tharu, the indigenous community of the Tarai Plains of Nepal. The Tharu community settled in the dense forests of Tarai and transformed it into a granary. The Tharu folk literature and folk cultural heritages reflect the prehistoric human civilization to the modern-day Tharu civilization. The traditional houses, clay-made utensils, wooden items, tribal words, and use of tantric phrases exemplify it. From Mechi in the east to Mahakali in the west and the Inner Tarai region, this community has dense presence. Acknowledging the fact that all Tharus of Nepal are not of the same origin on basis of culture, Dang district is considered as the main place of origin of all Tharus except the Rana Tharus and Kataria Tharu of Kanchanpur district. Western Tarai, though geographically not so big, can be taken as the Tharu Cultural Museum, as more than half of Tharu population of Nepal inhabit in this limited area. Rana Tharu, Kataria Tharu and Dangora Tharu hold a distinct identity in the Western Tarai Plains. Above this, Dang Valley being the main origin of most of the Tharus, the Tharu culture here has preserved the cultural heritages of the overall Tharus of Western Nepal. The malaria eradication program and land reform program run in Nepal attracted other cultural communities of neighboring hills to the Western Tarai Plains. The Tharus living exclusively and independently with their cultural traditions opted to migrate to Banke, Bardia, Kailali, Kanchanpur and Surkhet Valley, with the increase of an ambience of coexistence with other communities. With the trend of migration rising, the Tharus were reduced to minority in their native land. Nonetheless, they were successful in retaining and conserving their cultural heritage that originated in the soils of Western Plains. The lifelong folk dance, traditions and festivities are the examples of their cultural preservation. The Tharus have successfully kept alive traditional practices, spirit, mutual unity and harmony, which are an eminent part of their lives today as well.
Tharus are the indigenous tribes of this place. We have our own typical cultural norms and values, including our own music and culture. Starting from the monsoon season, Tharus rejoice in their own cultural festivals that have their own traditional music. Agriculture is our main occupation, and we are known as hard-working people. Nepal is very rich in cultural diversity, but Tharu culture has its own uniqueness. I believe preserving Tharu culture could be a boon in developing tourism as well in this region. However, it is very important to preserve and promote Tharu culture, especially among the youths. Proper planning and programs to preserve and promote Tharu culture from the government is a must.
Tharu festivals, culture, traditions and practices are special and significant. As the Tharus were able to retain their traditions, their cultures have become lifelong, which indeed reflects their originality. In the cultural perspective, every month holds significance for the Tharu community. Magh 1st of the Nepali lunar calendar, culturally known as Maghi, is the special day for the Tharus. Maghi is not only a festival for them, it is the beginning of a new fiscal year. A special acceleration and fervour infuses the homes of every Tharu during the Maghi festival. Mahatwa, or village leader, is elected on this very day in consensus of all sides based on work efficiency, aptitude and capacity. Resolving the problems of the village to the managerial aspects is the responsibility of the Mahatwa. Mahatwa actually is more an organization in a Tharu village than an individual. The village leadership is taken as a higher traditional practice in the Tharu autonomous ruling system.
We normally play the role of a facilitator in mediating whenever there are disputes among people of our community. The Matau, or the local chief, has to take the lead whenever there are accidents like death in our community. Sometimes there are disputes between people of different villages. The Matau needs to take the lead in settling them as well, almost like a judge. On cases of land proportion division to Kamayas or the bonded leverers, people can give their opinion, but the final decision is taken by the Matau. In marriages also, the witness has to be the Matau. Later, if the couple has any problems, the Matau needs to be the one to settle their dispute.
The village senior or Agua, on the instruction of Mahatwa, asks all the villagers to be present at Mahatwa's residence on the eve of Maghi. Khyala is the village council of Tharus, where every decision is taken in consensus of all sides. Tharus share a close bonding with nature, and their folk life exemplifies this connection. During the Maghi, they reach the jungles to pick the leaves and collect timber before dawn. Some go for fishing, as fish is the speciality of Tharu dishes. The male members of the community come together for preparing pork meat. While the Tharu women get busy in cooking delicious dishes like tikri and making alcohol at home. This kind of cultural activities is not only a necessity, but also a higher degree of practice of unity and teamwork within a village. Magh 1st of Nepali calendar, around mid-January, or the day of Maghi festival. The rays of the sun are yet to fall on earth. The riverbanks are crowded by people taking a holy dip. Songs can be heard playing in the background. Water-filled pots or kalash are placed by villagers on either sides of the road as a gesture of extending greetings, while these footsteps return towards villages from rivers to the tunes of the music. Sprinkling the holy water of kalash, a group of elderly reach the home of Mahatwa to extend greetings and for Maghi assembly. They take a seat after greeting him. Gardhuria, or the households, elect the new leader on this very day. The assembly concludes after reviewing the overall activities of the previous year and chalking out the new plans for the new year. This is followed by feast and dance. Women perform the traditional Tharu dance of Maghauta. Maghi is soon followed by another festival, Hori, that falls on the Nepali month of Fagun around February and March. This festival is celebrated by the Tharus ritualistically. Among the various rituals, the ritual of sparking fire after rubbing timber of Ganyari species reflects their primitiveness. The holy fire is using for lighting ablaze the pole. The fire used for lighting the pole is taken to home by every Gardhulia and kept safely. The same fire is used for cooking the food throughout the year. Fag, that is sung marking this occasion, has lusty lines. In the ancient times, it was called Madan Utsov, or festivity of lust or passion. Hence, the month of Fagun in the Nepali lunar calendar is a wedding month for the Tharus. Following the agreement by the family of the girl and the boy for their marriage, Tekoni, a ritual of give and take, is marked.
ये ऊपर बद्रीबा तर धरतीबा एक भी लौटबान नहीं करबे ना नहीं कर
On the wedding day, Diuli Darna, a special ritual is marked at the bridegroom's home. The Mahatwa robes a scarf on his head, which is called Pagya. The groom takes out Barchi from his native worship place, Duhar. Taking the Barchi is a symbol of war culture for the bride. While heading to the bride's home, the groom is offered sweet delicacies by his neighbors. The groom then sits on a dola, a wooden carrier, and reaches the bride's home. The bride's mother welcomes the groom with kalash on her hands and circumambulates the groom thrice. The sister-in-laws wash the feet of the groom. The wedding guests from the groom's side enjoy the feast. Tears well in the eyes of bride as she is bidden farewell by her family members. The bride is then carried on the dola to the groom's house. Bhojinya sprinkles rice grains on the yard. A pot full of fire is placed in front of the bride and groom. First the groom, then the bride steps on the fire and reach the duhar. Folk belief has it that stepping on the fire by the newlyweds means accepting each other, keeping the god of fire as a witness. The sisters of the groom then take certain amount as a gift and clear the way for the newlyweds. Bhojinya then receives them and collides groom's head with the bride's. Then she asks the bride to oil massage the groom's feet. After the feast, the celebration continues amid singing and dancing, performing traditional chokra and jhumra dance.
The culturally rich Tharu community of Western Nepal is backward in social and economic fronts. The government must come up with concrete programs to promote Tharu culture right from the local level to the international level. This can be a medium for the social and economic upliftment of the Tharu people. We have launched a campaign to preserve the cultural heritages of Tharu community in Dang, Banke, Bardia, Kailali, Kanchanpur and Surkhet districts.
The Nepali month of Chaitra and Baisakh, or the spring season, is the season of going to the jungles for collecting timber and fodder. The men and women together go to the jungles. They sing Sajana Maina Tharu folk songs while picking leaves or collecting timber. The word Sajana comes from the Hindi language and indicates the folk song has high amount of love and passion, while Maina is the folk song in which the lovers or a girl expresses her inner feelings, symbolizing the bird Maina as a medium. Among the folk cultural rituals of Tharus, the special ritual of Rath Lausarna and Dhurra Lausarna are considered important and are held by Dharhaya Guruwa for maternal and neonatal health in the Nepali month of Jesta and Kartik. This ritual is one of the Tharu folk treatment methods done through tantric medium. Saptamatrika is worshipped during this ritual. According to nature science, with the change in each season, the favorable and unfavorable effects of the seasonal change are seen in humans, animal, and the entire environment. Among the rituals carried out to protect oneself from those bad effects, Durya Guryai and Harya Guryai carried out annually are considered important worship rituals. After the Dhurya Guryai that is organized in the month of Jesta, the band, musical instruments and dance performances are resumed after concluding Harya Guryai in the month of Bhadra. The main priest, Deshbandhya Guruwa, and his assistant, Keshoka Gurua worship the main god and goddesses Chavaharwa and Dahar Chandi, established in rural religious places, Bhuyarasthan, chanting mantras, wishing for good health and freeing environment of pollution. The Tharus share a close relation with the forest, and as tiger inhabits in the forest, it is worshipped as Bagreshi goddess in Tharu folk culture. The Deshbandhya Gurua offer eggs as part of the ritual of Bagresi Devi. The Deshbandhya Gurua reinforces his faith towards rural gods and goddesses by performing fire dance, and he performs this dance through the help of Keshoka Gurua to awaken the gods and goddesses who are asleep from Durya Guryai. There is a folk belief that the classical tunes of traditional musical instrument madal used during the fire dance eventually chases the evil spirit away. Krishna Ashtami is another significant festival of the Tharus. On this very day, Lord Krishna is worshipped by putting on a huge tika. Thus, the birthday of Lord Krishna is called Astimki. Folk anecdote has it that the Tharu folk artists have this way depicted the story from Stone Age to the Dwapar Age through the paintings. Each painting has its own story. Folk belief has it that the first man of Tharu ethnicity, Gubarba, sitting on the boat, saved himself and his epics by riding on a boat during the end of each age, known as Yug. The images depicted in the painting that are of the evolution stages of fishes, crabs, earthworms, stories of the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi, among others, showcase the Tharu folk cultural history. All in all, this is a painting filled with Tharu folk philosophy. Dasai or the Dashya is the other important festival of the Tharus. The Tharus have a tradition of holding special worships for the deceased ancestors during this festival. The wife of the Mahatwa prepares a special kind of delicacy, dhikri, for offering it as a prasad or offering to the deceased ancestors. The Mahatwa at the worship place of his residence, Dewhar, offer these special delicacies to the deceased ancestors and the clan of gods and goddesses. After offering all these delicacies, the Dewhar room has to be left in silence. The sacrifice of a wax gourd is taken as an alternative to the existing practice of sacrificing since ancient age. Men, women and youths assemble at the residence of Mahatwa in Dasai to receive tika, blessings and exchange greetings. Tharus have a tradition of putting on a white tika and it is taken as a practice that began when colors were not created and as a symbol of peace. There is a culture of performing Sakhya and Paya dance from Krishnastami to Dasai in the Tharu culture. In the Sakhya dance, the male members playing the madal play the role of Krishna, while the female dancers role play Radha. Therefore, this dance is performed in two forms, Giti along with a song and a Giti without a song. This dance is performed in 22 musical beats. However, these beats are now in the verge of extinction.
Demonstrative art is an integral part of folk Tharu culture. Sakhya and Paya folk dances performed during Dasai festival are some examples. It is believed that these folk dances have up to 22 different beats. However, today we hardly find musicians and dancers who can play or perform all these 22 different beats. Only limited beats are performed these days. This demands further research and preservation efforts. Likewise, the Tharu folk literature is equally rich in romanticism. They are found in abundance in Tharu folklores and songs.
The main occupation of Tharu is agriculture. They enjoy in the fields and prefer to toil there. They seek the base of their livelihood through agriculture. They are pursuing their life ahead by being close to the nature. The Tharus believe in traditional values, hence believe the Barka dance should be performed if natural disasters occur. The Mahatawa for the same calls village assembly or Khyala. The Barka dance is organized as per the decision of the Khyala. The Barka, that is a folk musical Tharu drama with Tharu folk philosophies, starts with pious steps of various gods and goddesses and concludes with a sequence of Kurukshetra war from the Mahabharata epic and the ascent to heaven. At the end of the dance, the dancers in guise of 5 Pandavas and Draupadi hide their weapons under the Shami tree, which is believed is a depiction of Pandavas going to the Virat kingdom during their incognito stay or the Agyatbas. As per the Tharu folk belief, keeping the akshata used in this dance with oneself will protect one from evil eyes and spirits and helps in curing various illnesses. There is a local belief that touching the bamboo pole that is a symbol of Shiva Lingam or the phallic symbol of Hindu god Shiva relieves oneself from various physical pains. The Tharu culture that is based on self-identity is at present on the verge of extinction. A generation gap is developing between the older and the younger Tharu generation. Changes are but natural. However, extinction of intangible cultural elements means loss of existence of self-identity, to which community concerned should be sensitive.
Nepal's Election Commission issues 20-point directive to political parties ahead of 2026 parliamentary and 2025 National Assembly elections. Election Commission declares full readiness for mass polls. Urban expansion sparks large-scale demolitions in Hetoda as authorities clear hundreds of structures for highway modernization. Nam Festival revives Limbu heritage as traditional drums, dance and rituals unite communities celebrate. 4 civilians killed in renewed cross-border fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And explosive batting across MPL continues as Faf du Plessis equals fastest 50 record in tournament, Viratnagar Opera triumph. Hello there, I'm Smitu Gising Tamang and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours. Now the news in detail. The Election Commission of Nepal has issued a 20-point directive to all registered political parties ahead of the House of Representatives election scheduled for March 5, 2026. It has also announced that the National Assembly election will be held on December 26 this year. Assistant spokesperson Prakash Neupani said the guidelines rooted in the Political Party Act aim to uphold good governance and ensure inclusive proportional representation. Parties must nominate at least 1/3 women candidates and reflect gender and social diversity in both proportional and FPTP lists. Campaign activities must remain free from intimidation, defamation or discriminatory language, and parties are urged to support the government's goal of achieving 40% women representation by 2030. The Commission also emphasized accessible polling centers, responsible campaign messaging, and the exclusion of children from campaigning. Compliance with these directives, the Election Commission said, is essential for a fair, peaceful, and inclusive election. Nepal's Election Commission says it is fully prepared for the upcoming House of Representatives elections scheduled for March 5, 2026. Officiating Chief Election Commissioner Ram Prasad Bhandari highlighted that with 90 days remaining, all necessary arrangements are now in place. He noted that the government has responded to the Commission's requirements and that the publication of the official timetable has further strengthened the election environment. Bhandari also confirmed that during Friday's all-party discussions led by Prime Minister Sushila Karki, the Election Commission reiterated its readiness and clarified that work is progressing according to plan. While earlier budget gaps had raised concerns, the Ministry of Finance has committed additional funding. The Commission had requested nearly 7 billion rupees and close to 6 billion has already been secured, allowing preparations to move forward without delay. So far, 120 political parties have submitted their applications to contest the polls, reflecting a broad and competitive democratic landscape. In Nepal's Bagmati province, authorities in Hetauda have begun demolishing structures that fall within the planned road expansion zone of the provincial capital. Early this morning, the Hetauda Road Division deployed excavators to clear buildings and shops along the main market area as part of a project to widen the east-west highway section running through Hetauda sub-metropolitan city. The division had issued a public notice on Mangsir 5 as per Nepali calendar, giving property owners 15 days to remove structures built within 25 yards on either side of the road. With that deadline ignored, officials have now started clearing both temporary and permanent constructions across a 9.5-kilometer stretch of the Mahendra Highway and Tribhuvan Highway. A total of 531 structures are slated for demolition, and with the potential for local resistance, security forces have been deployed in large numbers to maintain order. In eastern Nepal, the Limbu community is celebrating Chasok Tangnam with vibrant enthusiasm, keeping their ancestral traditions alive. Every autumn, rhythmic drums, colorful attire, and the graceful rice dance fill the hills as families honor their harvest and cultural heritage. Once a simple agricultural ritual, Chasok Tangnam has grown into a powerful expression of identity, bringing together communities from Pachthar to the Kathmandu Valley and even abroad. Border clashes have erupted again between Pakistan and Afghanistan's Taliban forces, with both sides accusing each other of breaking a fragile ceasefire. Residents of Spin Boldak fled overnight as fighting broke out along the 1,600-mile border. A medical worker in Kandahar reported 4 bodies and several wounded, with injuries also recorded on the Pakistani side. Both governments confirmed an exchange of fire lasting about 4 hours, but each blamed the other for starting the clash. Pakistan's government said its armed forces responded to unprovoked firing, while the Taliban claimed Pakistan initiated the attack with artillery that struck civilian homes. The confrontation comes just weeks after a ceasefire mediated by Qatar and Turkey. Tensions remain high as Islamabad accuses the Taliban of sheltering militant groups, a charge Kabul denies. Biratnagar Kings veteran Faf du Plessis stunned the Nepal Premier League with a rapid 19-ball 50 against Sudur Paschim Royals, matching the tournament's fastest 50s. His knock came as Biratnagar won the match by 6 wickets, reaching 148 in just 11.5 hours, with both Faf and Sam Haslett scoring half-centuries. The second edition of the NPL has now recorded 33 50s, with 29 players contributing, while Ravi Bopara leads the season with 3. In another fixture, Pokhara Avengers defeated Chitwan Rhinos by 8 wickets, led by Adam Rossington's 65 and Arjun Kumar's unbeaten 43. The league round concludes Sunday with Janakpur Bulls facing Karnali Yaks. As Chasok Tangnam resurges with vibrant music and tradition, the Limbu community celebrates a heritage still alive in every beat. We'll look into this in our cover story tonight when we return. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Every autumn, the beats of traditional drums echo across Nepal, reminding the Limbu people of a heritage they are determined to keep alive. Colorful attire, rhythmic drums, and the graceful rice dance mark Chasok Tangnam, an age-old festival resurging among the Limbu community. A report.
In the eastern hills of Nepal, the celebration of Chasok Tangnam is gaining new momentum. The festival, rooted in the Limbu or Yakthung community, marks a time of gratitude and renewal as families offer grains to their ancestors and honor the harvest season. Historically, a ritual tied to agricultural life, Chasok is believed to have begun when early communities first stored their harvests. The Yalang or rice dance is said to have emerged from these celebrations, symbolizing prosperity and collective joy. Today, the festival has evolved into a vibrant display of cultural pride. Households prepare traditional foods, don ancestral attire, and engage in rituals that showcase the richness of Limbu heritage. Music and dance remain central. The deep tones of the chabrung drum and the graceful movements of the rice dance energize gatherings. From Panchthar, Terothum, Taplejung, and Ilam to Jhapa, Morang, Sunsari, Dhankuta, and even the Kathmandu Valley, the Limbu community marks the occasion with much enthusiasm. Diaspora groups abroad also continue the tradition, keeping cultural ties strong far from home. Chasok Tangnam has become a moment of reunion, where families gather, new clothes are worn, traditional dishes prepared, and fairs organized, with dance competitions.
Chasok Tangnam continues to thrive across Nepal, but questions remain about its long-term preservation. We asked people in Panchthar whether current efforts are enough to protect this cultural heritage. In our public pulse tonight.
चासोक तमनाममा चाहिँ ऐतिहासिक स्थलमा जाने पूजाआजा गर्ने साथै आफ्नो समुदायको वेशभूषा लगाएर चाहिँ जस्तै लिम्बू जातिको रैथाने खानाहरू झ्याउ सिरगिम्बा भयो हैन अनि याङबेन आदि बनाएर खाने अनि यसो भेला हुने
हाम्रो लिम्बू मुन्थुममा चाहिँ सिबेरा एक थुक नआको मुन्दुमदेखि जोडिएर हुन्छ। त्यतिखेर चाहिँ चराचुरुङ्गीहरूले होइन बियाहरू जम्मा गर्ने काम हुन्थ्यो। त्यो बियाहरू चाहिँ उसले कलेक्सन गरेर आफ्नो माइतीहरू बाउहरूलाई वितरण गरेर चाहिँ बिस्तारै त्यसलाई खेतीपातीको सामूहिक खेतीपातीको रूपमा अगाडि बढेको इतिहास छ। अनि उहाँकै सम्झनामा चाहिँ नयाँ अन्न पाकेपछि जब उहाँले वितरण गर्नुभयो बिउ बिजनहरू, त्यो वितरण गरेपछि उहाँको सम्झनामा उहाँलाई बुझाउने अनि त्यो सँगसँगै अरू के चाहिँ हो भने कृषि औजारहरूलाई पनि पुज्ने लिम्बू समुदायमा याक्थोङ समुदायमा चाहिँ त्यो चलन छ।
भनेको चाहिँ अन्न हो अनि तौनाम भनेको चाहिँ पर्व हो। विशेष याक्थोङ समुदायमा प्रत्येक वर्षको एकचोटि अन्नबाली पाक्ने समयमा चाहिँ चासो तौनाम पूजा गर्छन्। यो चाहिँ पहिला गाउँघरमा देवरी अनि चाहिँ फेदाङमाहरू बोलाएर पूजाआजा गर्ने कार्यक्रम गरिन्थ्यो। तर पछिल्लो समयमा चाहिँ यसलाई यो हाम्रो संस्कार संस्कृतिले चाहिँ संरक्षण सम्वर्धन गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने हिसाबले एकदमै ठुलो पर्व उत्सवकै रूपमा मनाउँदै आइरहेका छौँ।
यस्तै अब के राखेर होइन सबै थोक राखेर बनाइराख्नु भएको छ। अब अहिले हामीले देखे अनुसार होइन राम्रै गरी बनाउनु भएको छ।
Karnali province is marking one of its most culturally significant rituals as devotees gather to honor the revered Masto deity. In Mugu's Khatia Rural Municipality 8, the Kudaria Masto Shrine in Damdik village saw a grand celebration today. Across the region, communities worship different deities on all 12 full moons of the year, but the Mangsir full moon holds special meaning, regarded as the time to offer the season's new harvest. Along with Masto, several local deities are also worshipped on this day. For many rural families who lack access to formal courts, there remains a deep belief that the Masto deity delivers justice in cases of social conflict and wrongdoing. In Manang, tradition still guides the youth who choose yak and chauri herding over migration. Their commitment keeps a centuries-old mountain livelihood alive. Let's have a closer look.
While many Nepali youth look overseas for jobs, the young men of Manang are choosing a different path, one rooted in tradition. In this high-altitude district, yak and chauri herding remains the ancestral profession, carried out from 3,000 to 5,000 meters, where shepherds live alongside their animals throughout the year. This season, newborn calves cling to their mothers as shepherds stay alert to protect them from predators.
जुन यो पेशाले मलाई घर परिवार सबै धानिरहेको छ अनि अहिले यो जुन बच्चाहरू पाइरहेछ यो बच्चा अहिले यो सिजनमा पाउने हो अनि यो बच्चालाई जंगलमै पाएर हामीलाई गाह्रो भइरहेछ अनि यो बच्चा जुन जंगलमा पाएपछि बाघले समाउने धेरै सम्भावना भइरहेको छ समाइरहेको छ अनि हामीले पाएको जति हामीले अब घरमा ल्याएर
Unlike many regions where young people abandon traditional livelihoods, Manang's youth continue to uphold their heritage.
यसरी यो मैले चौरी पालन व्यवसाय गर्नु मुख्य उद्देश्य भनेको आम्दानी आय आर्जन नै हो र अहिले विदेश गएका युवा साथीहरूलाई चाहिँ मैले यो पनि भन्न चाहन्छु कि यसरी हामीले नेपालमै रहेर व्यवसाय गरे तापनि हामीले यसबाट आम्दानी लिन सकिन्छ र आत्मसन्तुष्टि पनि हुन्छ.
Yak and chauri products, tails, wool and fibers are transformed into ropes, bags and handicrafts, providing additional income. Yaks also serve practical roles, from ploughing fields to carrying loads. In a country where millions seek opportunities abroad, Manang offers a rare example. Young people sustaining themselves at home by preserving a centuries-old livelihood.
Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel has underscored that development capable of improving the everyday lives of citizens is Nepal's most urgent priority. Speaking at the inauguration of the newly constructed Lalitpur Metropolitan City building today, the President emphasized the need for effective public service delivery and stronger good governance. He reminded officials that it is their responsibility to listen to people's concerns and respond to them. President Paudel said democracy must function as a culture of hearing public voices and fulfilling their aspirations.
नयाँ पुस्ताको चाहना पनि सेवा प्रवाहमा सुस्तता सहित सुशासनको माध्यमबाट मुलुकको विकास गर्दै यही व्यवस्थामा मात्र हाम्रो भविष्य सुरक्षित छ भनेर जनतामा भरोसा जागृत गराउनुपर्छ भन्ने नै हो। नयाँ पुस्ताको यो चाहना बुझेर राजनीतिक नेतृत्वले त्यसै अनुसार आफूलाई रूपान्तरण गर्दै लैजानु आजको हाम्रो साझा दायित्व हो भन्ने म ठान्छु। संविधान र संघीय लोकतान्त्रिक गणतन्त्रलाई सुदृढ बनाउँदै विकासको युगीन अभिभारा पूरा गर्ने युवा पुस्ताको चाहनालाई पूरा गर्न तथा देशको वर्तमान परिस्थितिलाई निकास दिन आगामी फागुन 21 गते का लागि तय भएको प्रतिनिधि सभा सदस्यको निर्वाचनलाई सफल बनाउन पनि म यस अवसरमा सबैलाई आह्वान गर्दछु।
Authorities in Nepal have begun a major closure of the Kanti Highway, one of the country's key transport corridors, as part of a 60-day maintenance and expansion project. From 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., all vehicular movement will halt, forcing commuters and logistics operators to rely on alternative routes. The shutdown comes after a season of intense monsoon rains that triggered floods and landslides across Nepal, highlighting the growing vulnerability of infrastructure in mountainous regions. Officials warn that the road widening work, particularly large-scale wall cutting and rock excavation, carries significant risk, especially if extreme weather returns. Such conditions are not unique to Nepal. Across Asia and other mountainous nations, climate-driven hazards are increasingly exposing weaknesses in aging transport networks, demanding urgent investment in resilient infrastructures. Engineers say the terrain along Kanti Highway requires uninterrupted and carefully managed construction to prevent further landslides or rockfalls, which could endanger both workers and travelers. In Nepal's Mostang district, revenue collection at the northern Kerala border point linking Nepal and China has surged this fiscal year. The Kerala Customs Office reports are generating 4.41 billion rupees in revenue so far. The sharp rise follows disruptions at the Raswagadi and Tatopani border points earlier this year, when floods and landslides forced both crossings to shut down, shifting trade flows towards Kerala. By Thursday, imports worth more than 9.34 billion rupees had entered Nepal through the Kerala route. On the export side, Nepal earned 143.4 million rupees in revenue from goods including handicrafts cleared for shipment to China. Since the full resumption of operations about 2.5 months ago, customs officials say Kerala has processed 1,761 electric vehicles, highlighting its growing importance as a northern trade gateway. In western Nepal, a major waste management breakthrough is bringing rare joy to residents of Godavari municipality in Kailali. Communities here who once struggled with garbage dumped along roads, rivers and forests are now welcoming a new integrated waste management center built inside the Chowki Dada community forest of Ward number 3. The 5-hectare facility was developed with Asian Development Bank financing and support from the government of Nepal. Designed to operate for 23 years, it processes up to 20 tons of waste a day, producing compost and recycling materials that generate up to 600,000 rupees in monthly income. The center also cleans household septic tanks, adding further revenue. Local leaders say the project has finally brought order to years of unmanaged waste. ADB is now supporting a second, larger waste management facility under construction in nearby Dhangari. In Nepal, consumers are facing steep prices for fresh vegetables, while farmers say they are receiving far less than what traders ultimately charge in the market. This mismatch has left both producers and consumers struggling. Many farmers fear that selling their crops at low rates may not even cover production costs. This season, unseasonal rains damaged large portions of vegetable crops, reducing supply, a situation middlemen have taken advantage of by inflating prices. Farmers, however, say they are not benefiting from these higher rates and are now demanding a fixed support price for vegetables similar to the system used for rice and sugarcane. In Dading, tomatoes that farmers sold for just 40 rupees per kilo are being resold to consumers for as much as 120 rupees. Farmers argue that setting official support prices would protect both producers and consumers, and they are urging local governments to revive efforts that previously failed. Chronic sleep deprivation is rising globally, and experts warn it is becoming a major threat to both physical and mental health. With more than 16% of adults affected, specialists are calling for urgent regional action. Virat Anupam has more.
Working as adults, we spend long nights juggling careers, screens and entertainment may be putting their health at serious risks. Experts warn that chronic sleep deprivation is often the root cause of wide range of physical and mental illness, earning it the title the mother of all diseases. Health specialists recommend between 7 and 9 hours of sleep every night for adults, yet millions fail to meet this basic requirement. Sleep deprivation remains most prevalent in highly developed nations where hectic lifestyles and digital habits dominate, though the problem is increasingly common across South Asia as well.
Singapore is one of the countries that is supposed to be the most sleep deprived after Japan, Korea, and if not, I think recently there's a study to show that we are even, maybe even more so than them. So, in our own country, we are also trying to make sure that people emphasize and pay attention to sleep health, to sleep, I suppose, properly, and to look into any sleep disorders if they have, so that they can be more healthy and prevent all these chronic diseases that's associated with sleep deprivation and sleep disorders.
Experts note that sleep-related disorders are rising steadily across the South Asian regions, with similar trends seen across multiple countries. They emphasize that the issue demands a collective regional response rather than isolated national efforts.
First General Secretary of the SAARC Autolingual Societies, and we have presented and we have shared our knowledge with them, and definitely SAARC countries, these SAARC countries all have the same problem and same type of population and same medical treatment facilities as well as the surgical facilities, and we are sharing our surgical activities with them, and this is very, very encouraging, and this will be very useful for the SAARC countries.
Highlighting growing concerns, Nepal recently hosted the second edition of the International Conference of the Nepali Society of Sleep Disorders. Delegates from 7 countries gathered in the capital Kathmandu under the theme Better Sleep for Better World, where experts warned that sleep disorders often translate into broader life disorders.
If you are not sleeping and you are compromising your sleep, all these functions that are happening only during sleep will not happen. As a result, you can have an unhealthy heart, which can lead to heart disease. You can also have issues with your brain, like you can start forgetting the things. You will have weak immune system. You can have frequent colds and infections. So I think sleeping better and is better for not only you as a community as well.
A WHO-led Asia-Africa research study further reveals that more than 16% of adults suffer from sleep disorders, a figure experts fear could develop into a full-scale public health epidemic unless immediate steps are taken. This is the wake-up call for all adults and authorities. With camera person Binay Desar, Virat Anupam reporting for Public Service Broadcasting, NTV World, Kathmandu.
Traditional Panche Baja instruments are disappearing from Nepal's villages even as they gain new life in protests and public gatherings. In Bidur Khawas, Adhankuta, the rhythm of heritage is being reshaped by modern social movements. Here's a report.
In a twist shaped by social movements and public expression, the same instruments once central to weddings and celebrations are finding new life, not in celebration but in protest. Across towns and villages, the thunderous beats of the kartal, the sharp call of the damaha, the resonant tones of the tamko, and the haunting melodies of the shahanai and narsingha baja now rise above crowds during rallies and assemblies. What was once a symbol of ritual has become a rallying cry.
कटिबद्ध आत्मा चाहिँ टिम बनाउनको लागि म तयारी छु मैले 11 जनाको टिम मैले जम्मा पनि पारेको छु तर आर्थिक अवस्थाले गर्दाखेरि मैले त्यो काम पूरा गर्न मैले सकेका छैन सरकारबाट केही अलिकति सहयोग र बाजाको सहयोग भयो भने त्यो टिम बनाएर एक देशमा हिँडाउँछु भन्ने भावना मैले लिएको छु
In these moments, the music breathes energy into demonstrations, transforming ordinary gatherings into charged atmospheres filled with hope, frustration, and solidarity. Traditionally, Panchabaja carried the cultural identity of Nepal, an expression of religion, heritage, and community. But as weddings and festivals adopt modern entertainment, the instruments have slowly lost their place in everyday life. Despite the symbolic power of these rhythms, conservation efforts remain limited. Without sustained support, the melodies risk fading even as they continue to echo in streets and plazas. International updates up next here on NTV World News Hour, but for now, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal's Election Commission issued 20-point directives to political parties ahead of 2026 parliamentary and 2025 National Assembly elections. Election Commission declares full readiness for March polls. Urban expansion sparks large-scale demolitions in Hetauda as authorities clear hundreds of structures for highway modernization. Chasok Tangnam Festival revives Limbu heritage as traditional drums, dance and rituals unite communities in celebration. 4 civilians killed in renewed cross-border fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And explosive batting across NPL continues as Faf du Plessis equals fastest 50 record in tournament with Abnagar and Pokhara triumph. At least 11 people have been killed in a mass shooting at a hostel in Salisbury Township, west of Pretoria, early Saturday morning in South Africa. Among the victims is a 3-year-old child. Police say 3 gunmen stormed the hostel where a group of people were drinking and began randomly shooting. 14 others were wounded in the attack, including a 12-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. No arrests have been made, and the motive behind the shooting remains unclear. The incident highlights ongoing concerns over illegal liquor premises, often referred to as shebeens, which are notorious for being sites of violent crime in South Africa. South Africa has one of the highest murder rates in the world, with 45 murders per 100,000 people, a stark reflection of the country's ongoing struggles with violent crime. Russia has launched a major aerial assault on Ukraine, targeting key infrastructure just as peace talks between the United States and Ukraine enter their 3rd day in Florida. Overnight, Moscow fired 653 drones and 51 missiles, most of which were intercepted, though a railway hub in Fastov near Kiev was heavily damaged. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strike as meaningless militarily, accusing Russia of deliberately hitting civilian targets. The attacks have also disrupted energy facilities across 8 regions, causing widespread blackouts. Meanwhile, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant temporarily lost all external power for the 11th time since the invasion, raising fresh safety concerns. Despite the escalation, U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff described the ongoing negotiations as constructive, signaling continued diplomatic efforts even as the fighting intensifies.
For a long time, over an hour this morning. I also had with President Zelensky a very good call after that. And I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace and President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed.
In Myanmar's highly contested elections, early voting began abroad on Saturday with a few dozen citizens casting their ballots at the Myanmar embassy in Bangkok, Thailand. This marks the start of the voting process for Myanmar nationals living outside the country. There are about 500,000 documented Myanmar nationals in Bangkok alone, according to Thailand's Labour Ministry. Myanmar's junta, which seized power in a 2021 coup, has since plunged the country into a complex civil war. Despite this, the military government insists that these elections are a crucial step towards peace and democracy. The International Organization for Migration estimates there are 4.1 million Myanmar nationals residing in Thailand, many of whom fled the conflict and are living in the country without official documentation. In an important development for regional peace efforts, the Colombian government and the country's largest drug trafficking gang, Clan del Golfo, have signed a preliminary agreement in Qatar on December 5. The deal, known as the Commitment to Peace in Doha, marks a significant step towards potential disarmament of the powerful paramilitary group, which Colombian military intelligence says is responsible for exporting hundreds of tons of cocaine each year to the United States and Europe. The agreement was mediated by Qatar, Norway, Switzerland and Spain, who emphasized that the peace process will move forward on two coordinated tracks. The first track focuses on dismantling the gang's involvement in drug production and ending the recruitment of adolescents and children across 15 identified territories currently under Clan del Golfo's influence. We'll look into the business updates after this short break.
Netflix has agreed to buy Warner Bros. Discovery TV, film studios and streaming division for $72 billion. The agreement, announced on Friday, follows a weeks-long bidding war between Netflix and Paramount Skydance. Netflix said it expects to generate at least $2 billion to $3 billion in annual cost savings by the third year after the deal closes. Warner CEO David Zaslav will also step down following the completion of the merger. The deal would give Netflix ownership of iconic franchises such as Game of Thrones, DC Comics, and Harry Potter. Some in the film industry, such as Writers Guild of America, have criticized the deal, saying it would negatively impact workers and consumers. The last international airlines flying to Venezuela have suspended routes to the country, days after United States President Donald Trump declared the South American country's airspace closed. Panamanian carrier Copa and its Colombian budget subsidiary Wingo announced Wednesday evening that routes to Caracas would be suspended on December 4 and 5. Colombian state airline Satena and Bolivian flagship carrier Boliviana de Aviación also cancelled flights on Thursday. Following the suspensions, no international carriers are flying to Venezuela, although several national airlines continue to operate international routes. The suspensions also follow a 90-day warning issued on November 21 by the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration of risk to commercial planes flying in Venezuelan airspace, which prompted several major carriers to suspend flights. China on December 5 opened a new high-speed rail link connecting cities in the southern Guangxi-Zhuang Autonomous Region, with the new route completing a fast passenger corridor running from the regional capital Nanning all the way to China-Vietnam border. The new line running between the cities of Tongzhou and Pingshan is expected to cut travel times, boost regional connectivity, and support economic cooperation with China's partners in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. The train operates at a speed of 250 kilometers per hour. The European Union has fined Elon Musk's social media platform X 120 million euros over its blue tick badges, prompting a reaction from the US.
Today, the Commission has issued a fine of 120 million euro to X for breaching the Digital Services Act. This is the first ever fine under the DSA. X has indeed breached its transparency obligation under the DSA. This includes X's blue checkmark. It deceives users. Anyone can pay to obtain the verified status, and X does not meaningfully verify who is behind it. Failure to comply with the non-compliance decision may lead to periodic penalty payments on top of today's fine.
But US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Federal Communications Commission have criticized the EU regulator, accusing it of attacking and censoring US firms.
Time now for the sports update. Biratnagar Kings veteran Faf du Plessis produced a lightning-fast knock in the Nepal Premier League, blasting a 19-ball half-century against Sudur Pashchim Royals. His innings matches the tournament's quickest 50s alongside Bhim Sarki and Harmit Singh, while the overall record remains with Jimmy Nisham's 18-ball effort. With such explosive batting, the second edition of the NPL has now seen 33 half-centuries. Today, Sam Hazlitt added another for Biratnagar Kings, taking the total number of contributors to 29, with Ravi Bopara leading the season with 3 50s. So far, only Mark Watt and Adam Rossington have reached triple figures in the tournament. Biratnagar Kings won today's first match held under the ongoing second Nepal Premier League NPL, defeating Sudur Pashchim Royals by 6 wickets and securing a spot in the qualifier. In the match held at Tribhuvan University TU Cricket Ground in Kirtipur, Biratnagar met the target of 148 set by Sudur Pashchim in just 11.5 hours, losing 4 wickets. Sam Hazlitt and Faf du Plessis both scored half-centuries, with Sam making 51 and Faf 50. For Sudur Pashchim, Avinash Bohra claimed 2 wickets while Harmeet Singh took 1. Earlier, Sudur Pashchim lost the toss and was asked to bat first, scoring 147 for 5 in 20 overs. Arif Sheikh remained not out with a top score of 45, while Ishan Pandey added 38 runs. Biratnagar's captain Sandeep Lamichhane took 3 wickets and Pratish GC claimed 1. With this win, Biratnagar is set to face Sudur Pashchim again in the first qualifier. Sudur Pashchim had already secured their spot in the qualifier by winning all 6 of their previous matches. Pokhara Avengers defeated Chitwan Rhinos by 8 wickets in the second match of the Nepal Premier League NPL on Saturday at the TU International Cricket Ground. Chasing a target of 121, Pokhara reached 121 at the loss of 2 wickets in 19.4 overs, with Adam Rossington scoring 65 runs off 48 balls and Arjun Kumar contributing an unbeaten 43 runs off 53 balls. Chitwan Rhinos had earlier posted 120 for the loss of 6 wickets in 20 overs, with Dev Kanal top scoring on 35 runs. Dhananjay Lakshan took 3 wickets for Pokhara in the win. The final match of the league round will be played between Janapur Balls and Karnali Yaks on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. The official match schedule for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, jointly hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico, has been released. For the first time, the tournament will feature 48 teams divided into 12 groups. The top 2 teams from each group, along with 8 best third-placed teams, will advance to the knockout stage. The competition will kick off on June 11, 2026, with the opening match between Mexico and South Africa in Mexico City. The final is scheduled for July 19 in New Jersey, USA. Since its inception in 1930, 8 nations have won the World Cup, with Argentina crowned champions in 2022. Now the weather updates from Nepal first and then from across the world. almost at the end of the news hour, but before wrapping up, let's take a look at the reminder of our top stories once again. Nepal's Election Commission issues 20-point directive to political parties ahead of 2026 parliamentary and 2025 National Assembly elections. Election Commission declares full readiness for March polls. President stresses on accountability. Urban expansion sparks large-scale demolitions in Hetauda as authorities clear hundreds of structures for highway modernization. Chasok Pangnam Festival revives Limbu heritage as traditional drums, dance and rituals unite communities in celebration. 4 civilians killed in renewed cross-border fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And explosive batting across MPL continues as Faf du Plessis equals the fastest 50 record in tournament. Viratnagar and Pokhara try. And that's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Smitu Gising Tamang signing off. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.